is up, misfits one and all, to tonight's episode of Did We Land on the Moon? Dot dot dot. Where yes, we are asking the question of whether humans have went to the moon. So won't you join?
We're going with
James
no.
W. Listen, I don't know. Wait, hold on. There we go. I just proved it. So I don't know.
Well, I mean,
Now we
all
have
the
a
tape
no and a
is
yes.
just all the tape is just in slow motion, right? The astronauts
true.
jumping.
And I could have been technically visual effects could have made me. Could have been CGI. Your
Probably.
eyes. And you have round eyes and all this other smart stuff. But yes, won't you join James W. and myself, Amy Newman, for a good time worth mooning your neighbor. Oh my. That is right. I want to thank you all for joining us on the InterTubes. I can't believe that they shove it all through a single thing to get us a Pornhub that I need.
That's on Patreon.
Oh
That'll be
my.
on the Patreon.
But yes, I want to thank everyone out there for joining us on the InterTubes. Please don't forget to like, follow, or subscribe, because then you gain access to that bell icon, which when set to all will give you reminders to see our premieres, like our Ask Me Anythings or our live stream, so you can join
And then
this stream like What Is Up, Beamsy, and Skywatcher, and Stupid Horror Energy, and Doubting Thomas, and Jason Jacoby, Jena, woo,
Jena,
what's
SWE,
Born Again Theist, the Reanimator,
that
trying to say Shane Bilowitz. Woo, what is up, Shane? Everyone out there, all of you, send in love. If we missed you, keep on saying hi, and we'll keep on saying hi back. And in fact, if you want to definitely see your comment read
Mookie Bedhair
right on the screen, please don't forget to tag at James W. and at Amy Newman in chat. Although I also just like these, which is lead pipe in the kitchen. That's right. It was the maid. But yes, sending love, everyone out there.
Or was she in the schoolgirl outfit?
Oh my, that may have been the option too. But I swear it was the butler. Everyone, they're trying to blame me, but
oh my god. I don't know if that's the real Tangelo.
The real on Tangelo Grassa. So what I will say is that it has the real name. So, but that's right. That doesn't mean that it's the right. It is the actual orange Jello. However, in the orange Jello round slash, we didn't go to the moon. He did kind of say that gravity doesn't affect gases, right? Which is, I mean, that's kind of, maybe not.
That's kind of on board with that.
Flat Earth, maybe like kind of like buying them a drink, I
was kind of on board with that geocentrism thing in that one debate.
A little bit.
Leo lost that debate. Yeah.
Not saying that he is one, but it is kind of a theme. The same theme in my my little opener spoiler, that it is the same theme: conspiracy theory thinking and religion. Spoiler alert. What is up, Maria? What is up, in fact, the entire Twitch community, which keeps on growing, and so we're going to keep on adding some
growing
water and seeds in there.
The seed. Amy's all about the seed.
Oh, I am all about the seed. I will say, doesn't depend. I was listening to, I think, another comedy bit that was like, animals just must be, other animals must think that we are so stupid because they're just like, we just get it over everything. You got it all over her tits. What is that's a waste?
Yeah.
Once again, TM, another comedian. But sending love out there in the interwebs. In fact, we do just have to point out that all of this love, all of the support is made possible. I get really PBS-y at a certain point. Made possible by viewers like you. Yes, but it's made possible. All this content made possible by your super chats, by our channel members, who you can find listed in the description below with the fantastic, fabulous, and amazing emojis and evolving. That's the best thing about the evolving emojis is you're watching people actually get all of the new ones as they hit the months, and also our Patreons who support us so very much, sending so much at patreon.com/Amy Newman, including awesome patrons like us from the
I'm gonna go. I changed my
Atheist
mind on that.
Network
I think that now is
Hang
Orange
gang,
Jello.
yo. Say that again.
That's
Is
definitely Orange Jello. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we have consistently got like that these people are pose, that these people are like, these are the bad theists. Why don't you show us the good intellectual theists? And I'm going to keep on saying, this is what happens when you believe in religion. Like, I couldn't even help it in my opening statement for this subject, because it always goes back to it. Somehow, it always goes back to it. What is he saying?
Hey,
I can't help myself. He said, number one, the earth is flat. Number two, man never landed on the moon. And I think I got a little bit. And there is no God. I think I had 3 accents in one thing. We are the product of nothing, really. What? Earth is flat. Man never landed on the moon. There is no God. We are the product of... Is he saying...
atheists are flat earthers and don't believe in the moon landing?
Yes, that took a turn. I'm trying to understand. Maybe, I guess maybe he was just ribbing us. Maybe he is he's team rounder, team we went to the moon with us.
Maybe.
But what's up, Casey? Yay! But yes, sending love to Oz, who just was doing a fantastic stream with Genetically Modified Skeptic. You guys should all check out that stream as well as all of the content on Genetically Modified Skeptic. But we're just sending love to #Tangang. We are sending love to Oz and Jena and Biddy Buddha and Shane the Skeptic. And just, why aren't you #Tanganging? I mean, we don't have to have a religious holy war because we don't schism. But also sending love to Ian Davenport. We saw him out there. He is lovely and amazing. Thank you so much, Oz and Ian Davenport. Boom, 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 boom. Because we're taking, once again, not too far analogous from creationists is we get this move. In fact, why are we even talking about this? Because I get challenged on, I assume, not just, well, I got challenged on Muslim streams. I was going to include some Catholic stream, but I don't know any Catholics that sometimes you get deist arguments from Catholics. So I like to include them with the Muslims because Muslims try and take that approach. They're generally very deistic. In fact, most of the Dawaists will call it the other side Quranists. Those are the 6,000-year earthers, I guess, of the Islam. But no, we get this. We get, how do you even know we went to the moon? Because you're just getting data from someone else. You're just getting it from those scientists. So sending love, Ian Davenport, who also gets data from scientists.
There you go. Thanks, Ian.
But sending so much love when we hear claims like, did we go to the moon? And I don't know why I'm stereotyping and putting on a Southern American accent when it was definitely a Muslim from, I believe, London, who inspired such a stream.
The media is trained you well. The mainstream media is trained you well.
No, well, I mean, there's a reason for. I mean, there's our Bible Belt. Our Bible Belt has the equivalent. It has the Christian Taliban. So, they deserve the ribbing as much as, but they are not the focus of this. I would even say most Sunni Muslims, please, I'm not praying. This is me hoping statistically that you believe that we went to the moon. Oh, my lordy.
Not them Shia.
I see the second law of thermodynamics in chat. We're going through creationist bingo. I'm happy. But yes, sending love. When we hear this shit, it does make us and a grumpy old Cuss go bleep bleep. What the? Yeah.
We're waiting for Irreduce Complex. That's on the list.
Irreducibly complex. You have no idea.
Genetic entropy is still on the board.
All of these concepts that they can't seem to get past. It makes us and a Diana Smith kind of giggle. It makes us go, you can't get peer reviewed.
Thank you, Diana Smith.
So sending love, Diana Smith.
And they can't get peer reviewed.
Once again, I love all of the creationists. Doesn't matter if you're in chat, out in the universe. It can't just be www.thisisveryveryscience.com.
Or if you're the creationist,
submit it to peer review.
Sitting under a table.
Oh my! Has Gavin disappeared? Has he just been slowly?
I
think he just works part-time under the desk now. But that's the only way I see him.
In a while.
Exactly. But sending love, Diana says, sending love, Pat Lowinger, the man with an archaeological plan. Sending love to Pat Lowinger, who once again does something that creationists are allergic to, which is race.
Showering? Oh.
That too. And also, what's up, Spooky Bed Hair? What's up, computer? Everybody out there. Sending love. And Pat is also getting a lot of, has done a lot of Awesome Talk Skeptics US episodes and getting pre-production for more. Sending love also to Dale Pastel. Who is just looking for a little bit of empirical evidence. Is it that hard to get empirical evidence? Apparently it is. Some theists will actually get angry, or young earth creationists, or, however thin of a brush we want to paint in Photoshop.
Yes. Show me rock from the moon. And then you show it to them. That's not from the moon.
Though none of these ever actually fund experiments. Like, if it goes hand in hand with the flat Earth. Like, if you don't think we went to the moon, like, where are we going? And then please just get a rocket that doesn't I guess take an engineering class, because the last person I think we learned that natural selection is still always in play, and the rocket just exploded. So please take an engineering class. I guess that's my warning. And then figure something out.
The rocket would hit the dome and blow up, and they would all die anyway. But, that's why they are too smart to take real rocket up.
I asked, why don't you drone? And they're like, well, there's laws that restrict me from... Oh, is that what's holding you back? The law? I don't know. Build a drone that goes past that.
What do they
I don't
think
know.
the
It just
CIA
doesn't
is
sound like they're very motivated.
Drop out of helicopters and assassinate them in the
Yes.
middle of the night? Yeah.
And JIDF all at once. Boom!
Mossad.
Yeah, they do backflips in the air.
These people, they never go above the posted speed limit. They never do. They are just so straight and narrow. Ken Hovind never cheats on his taxes.
I like that they're like they always try to like appear like we're mavericks outside the system, and we can't break the law.
It's a very convenient law. Like, oh, hey, I mean, it's not our fault. We can't do anything about it. There's a law. Yeah, that way.
Once again, not supporting breaking the law. It just seems like if you think that we are in Orwellian system in which we are being manipulated to the point that we do not know the structure of the planet, then, well, I mean, be Winston. Get us out. I don't know what to say. Though, I will say, if you've actually read that book, maybe you don't want to be Winston. What is up? Saw you on...
Hey, guys.
Tangang? Where did I just see you? I just saw you. Sending so much love. You were fantastic. Trying to grow. I saw you got your title. Growing past that. Now we got to get more of our non-believer sisters and brothers monetized. Boom, boom. Once again, we don't holy war. So we can just do endless shilling and shout-outs. So, universe. We're talking about universe. But hey, you know what? We're talking about universes and not the Shroud of Turin. I mean, come on. Isn't that a bonus? Though I have to say, I can only... I think it's the Norm Macdonald rule. I forget who said this, but you can only roast people that you have love for. So I have to have a little bit of love somewhere. Even though... Because I saw him once ask that question. I'm sending so much love, Orange Jello, even though we roast along with, though I guess a little bit more love, even though with my Hover impressions, because that's a little bit different, because I only get love from him from thinking about his name in KX4782. But we're actually getting theists. I'm just excited we're getting theists in the chat. Maybe they'll join the open mic. We're just going to basically spiel so much. I kind of want to, in doing research for this topic, there's a video that I kind of want to just show on more on our side. We normally show the opposing side, but it's just from an actual astronaut. So it's not fucking cool. So yes, we're gonna do that. We're gonna keep on going, sending love out there to Pat, and Dale and Deepgar. What does the moon orbit? Well, we got our Earth, baby, our thick Earth, and that's the way we like her. Right in our orbit.
Is that so?
That is. Listen. James, we don't kink shame. We don't body shame unless you're into that.
Unless you want to be shamed. Yeah.
That's right. Exactly. Sending so much love to Dave Carr, and
you,
also sending love to Scott Duke, reminding us that the fact that we are animals triggers them like nothing else. Once again, I'm not even going full PETA on you. If you are having a lovely bacon sandwich, keep on enjoying it. Just understand, it doesn't like poof. It doesn't go like cloud, poof, chicken sandwich. Like that is not the process. That's all we're saying. We didn't think we had to say that, and yet we seem to. Woohoo! Sending love from Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
Jacoby. Simping for science. Woohoo!
You're going to get her special glasses out.
We are simping for science. My special. Well, I gotta think for a second. I have so many categories. Non-face. Something. That's right, baby.
There you go.
Simpin' for
It's
science. Ba, 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 ba. And once again, we get like flack sometimes because they're like, "Oh, all you do is rely on reason and evidence."
Logic.
Yeah. What were you doing? Was there something else that you were just taking?
My reason, my logic, evidence.
Exactly, my evidence.
That's
That's all
evidence.
weird. Could you just imagine, like, it's
Taking
like
a dig at evidence.
you're in like the hospital and you're just looking at your doctor and you're like, my medicine. Yes, that's why it says doctor.
My medical school.
And this is the team of nurses trying to keep you alive. My medical school. Oh, my degrees. My accredited medical degrees.
Thank you. 8 years doing that shit when you could just what a better use of your time would have been just to spend those 8 years reading the Bible.
Exactly. I mean, you could be
why would you read any other book?
Those hours.
Yeah. Why would you not want to spend time reading a book written by a deity?
Exactly.
The guy who made the human body, who designed it meticulously.
Of course, if we ask them,
complexity.
They have no idea how that happens. They just assert it.
Well, only he knows. Yeah.
Only he knows. Mysterious ways. Tickles in the back of your...
Anyway,
that's all right. Sending so much love. That's also, I think, half of me. But also sending love for that super chat and support, Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
And also sending love to Regos, reminding you we have a skeptic Bible study, and we do not cherry pick in this. We're going letter for letter, word for word, except for, we might play with the language a little bit, tickle once again in the back. But sending love so much, Regos. We are in dude erotomy, and let me tell you, the interfaith stabbing is just off the charts. So thank you, Regos, and
that's right, Christy. Their magical Sky Daddy is so much better than the other Sky Daddies.
That's right. Listen,
my Sky Daddy could beat up your Sky Daddy.
Is so much stronger than your Sky Daddy.
My Sky Daddy has a 15-foot long.
Oh my! See, but also sending love. In fact, I am going to do it.
My Sky Daddy, he doesn't even have to get off the couch to go to the bathroom. He can reach from the couch.
Give me just a second.
Give her just a second, guys. Special delivery.
Special delivery. Yes. No, I just have to do an extra special love who, within the past few days ago or in the past few days to come, is going to be having a very, very special birthday. So sending love out there to the wonderful and
happy birthday,
fabulous
Rachel.
And special Rachel.
Happy birthday, Rachel. Now, I find it...
That's as much as I will do without a pop shield.
I find it strange that Amy just happens to have all this bondage gear just laying around, just sitting around the house,
James, I feel like I'm just really committed to props.
You get up to go to the kitchen, you trip over handcuffs and chains. I mean,
listen, and I didn't even hear any sirens. What a coincidence! But we're sending love to Rachel Holland, who reminds
happy
us
birthday, Rachel.
that the Bible, the Quran, all of these, they would never support the Abrahamic texts endorsing slavery, right? James, the objectively good book, would never, ever in a million years or 6,000 support non-consensual slavery, would it?
No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. That's why it doesn't. It doesn't support it, except when it does, but it never does. Does that say slut?
James, I don't know what you're talking about. I think the TOS gods heard it says support higher education. Wow!
Uh-oh. The old Board of Education.
With every whack. Every single whack. But also I'm sending love in the most... Woo-hoo! Do. And it is a super sticker where he is rolling around laughing. Thank you so very much. Sending all the love right back to you.
So
I'm going to keep on saying it. You should also check out his channel, which I'm going to get. You don't even... Let's see if we can...
What, a banner?
Well, so I try and get everyone their title, and then I try and get everyone now to monetization. And, eventually when they get monetized, I'll help people get their shelves. I do not care. We want to shill. So his channel is right down there, ladies and gents.
There you go.
As well as Randolph Richardson.
And subscribe.
What is up,
hey, Randolph?
I have sent a fun video clip, short, less than 10 seconds, on Discord, so you can save it, play it directly. It fits this topic perfectly. Okay, when we start playing, I think the what's it called? I'll go, the astronaut, I will go and find it, and then I just want you to know, Randolph, that if you ever want to know who is one of the first people to probably thumbs up every one of your puns or images, I can't help it. I like the meme game. I appreciate the meme game.
She's a meme artist.
Meme artist, that's right. A memer. I also consider myself a master debater. I like to think that I debate in the morning, I debate in the evening, and sometimes if I feel a little bit frisky, I debate in the shower.
Yeah, we heard you, sir.
Sir. Say
again, sir.
Woo! That's right, I am. Sending so much love to Randolph. You should go check out his channel. That's Randolph, with an OLF. Richardson.
Oh.
P. But also Rejos hanging out on the Twitchosphere. What is up, Rejos?
Thanks, Rejos. Good to see you, man.
And we just are glad it's growing. I am so happy because Twitch can be a hard thing to grow, to get that sunlight and water on. And so we just thank you all.
Helping it grow.
It is. It's so hard to debate standing up. Yeah. So sometimes you need a friend. But sending love to Rachel and Senator
Thanks,
Cato.
Rachel. Senator Cato.
Who reminds us that we are trying to keep the separation of church and state. They're always like, that's not in there. It's just expressed in letters. But that's really what the document is trying to do, is trying to separate those things out from the secular government.
Oh.
I love our Constitution. The fact that it's one of the first secular documents on Earth. It only comes around because of our deist founders who, unfortunately, the Puritans in this country try and ruin. But sending love, Senator Cato, and sending love. We saw him out there.
Did we?
What is up? We did. We saw love.
Oh, yeah, there he is. He's out
there.
there.
James Wolfe.
Hey, James Wolfe.
Reminding us we are doing a midnight ranting. In fact, oftentimes, if you see that it is daytime, that's probably because we've been up and streaming for that long. But also, the Atheist Handbook to the Old Testament by Joshua Brown, Volume 1 and 2, out for sale now. So just also that show as well. So sending so much love, James Wolfe! Woo!
Thank you,
James. And also, last but not least, a galaxy in your hand. M&M's in your mouth. Creationists really cannot explain how to create a galaxy. They assert God makes all sorts of shit. But if you ask for the cookbook on any of it, like how to make stars coalesce, how those stars gather and eventually gain things like rotations, because not all galaxies have rotations, but many of them do, like ours. Also comes from gravity. So sending love to Matt Deeg.
Triggering John Maddox one day at a time.
One day. Sending love to all of the people who send us super chats, to all of our channel members in the description below, and our Patreons who really enable us to make so much fun content, along with our subscribers and our viewers. Just you out there. Thank you so very much. And all right, before we get into, I would like to show an astronaut's testimony, which is going to be short. I have to, because I want to put it in the record. I want to humanize it, but then we're going to go to an open mic. So sending love. It looks like Randolph has to drive home. So we are sending you love. Completely understand. And have a safe drive. Exactly. Yo, what is up, Necro? Boom, 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 boom. We're having fun. Sending love to all of you out there.
Andrea?
Almost sounds like the Andromeda Galaxy.
Yeah, which is barreling towards our galaxy as we speak. Millions of miles an hour.
The only thing in the universe that seems to be blue shifted and moving towards us.
Yeah. It's close enough that gravity can have that effect on it.
Indeed. I'm going to take a swig of this, and then we're going to move into opening statements, an astronaut, and then the open mic, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Sponsored by, I forget what it's called in Idiocracy. Brando? What was the...
Brondo.
That's what plants crave?
Yeah.
What is up, Secular Pegamon?
What deities crave.
And hey, multiple universes would be cool. Be totally up for it. It is a hypothesis. One that I think I'd be open to.
Definitely
but
possible.
Yes, but it's not a theory, which is the highest benchmark in science. Even though I know a lot of young Earth creationists, so like, it's just a theory. Yeah, a theory. The pinnacle of science, a theory, a framework of facts. But all right.
Well, then you explain that to them, and then they tell you, oh no, actually, we're not so sure about germ theory of disease. Oh, yeah, we're also not sure about relativity. We don't.
What I normally say,
relativity has never been proved. Gravity.
Exactly. What I normally say is, do you believe in the theory of gravity? In this sort of subject,
no, we don't.
The people may say no. Yes, exactly. So,
do you believe in germ theory? No, it's all made up. Diseases are caused by the devil.
The devil. I always love the devil. Always seems to have a full-time job, but God is always seeming to be like on vacay. But
yeah,
before we go into, I just say the humanizing point of view, the expertise point of view, because we sometimes bring on, or most often bring on the opposition view, but the TOS gods don't like the pumping in that kind of content. They actually like us. They like the pro science side. I know it's so hard. That's what she said. Or he. Do your thing. But yes. Oh my, in the sky. Did we land on the moon? Why, yes. And by we, I mean human beings. To be more specific, a bunch of scientists did. Like Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. And although some on the dark web, who I believe is the nemesis of Spider-Man, or even those in some religious circles, no surprise there, think that there is a massive conspiracy that big moon. Which I assume, Soros, is that you? Which I assume is more than just a porn title, but a massive establishment of global scientists. Well, don't say global. That may trigger them too.
Global Hummer.
All around the world. Worldwide scientists who want to hide the fact that we went to the moon. Why? Reasons. Like super nefarious reasons. Which have yet to be determined. Picky. But it's part of keeping the sheeple in control. After all, do you trust data that you didn't take yourself? Oh. Therefore, galaxies don't exist because I've never been there. And while we're at it, prophets of God don't exist because you weren't there. Oh, wait. I can hear the conspiracy theorist now. Or a religious person. Same thing. Because the thinking is always about superstition. Somehow, they think the people in lab coats begging to get grant money so they can pay off their college loans are the real people trying to trick you. Though these mean men and sometimes women sitting there day in and day out telling you the apocalypse is just around the corner, that hellfire brimstone awaits those who disobey, and that they just need a tiny bit more money to ensure God's message reaches everyone. Sounds like a legit business. No, really. Anyway, when people say, did we land on the moon? Well, you can talk to the men who went to the moon. They'll explain not only their journey there, around and back, but also the process they went of quarantining to ensure they didn't kill anyone else with some sort of killer space bug. Plus, scientists can see artifacts that are still there, like the astronauts' footprints, which aren't going anywhere because there is no wind or atmosphere to get rid of them, including the American flag, which is still hoisted up, and I assume screaming freedom. Along with a laser bounceable mirror, which scientists still use to this day, even though it's been there since 1969. This is if we don't forget all of the video footage that was taken, along with all of the 24/7 low Earth orbit footage we take from the space station, which I know makes hoaxers scream at full volume that it's not real. CGI. Give me a C. Give me a G. Even though they have no experience in the visual effects or filmmaking field. And lastly, the booming private space industry. Well, hopefully not booming. We want the rockets to... You get the idea. Because the only thing that actually is a hoax is, once again, conspiracy-like thinking, which is the same thing that gets us religion. Thank you. And all right, before we bring up an astronaut and the open mic, we are going to fly James W.
You're flying me in?
In space. James, what do you think? Was the moon landing faked?
Well, okay, so obviously we know that it wasn't faked. There's a overwhelming amount of evidence that it happened, but I'm going to guess everybody already knows that. We really don't need to go through the evidence painstakingly to show that what everybody really already knows, that it took place, that it would have been way harder to fake it than it would have been to actually do it. I think actually the strongest issue in favor of the moon landing being a hoax is just the general incredulity when you think about it. When you think that knowing what kind of technology we had in the 1960s, isn't it amazing that they were able to do that and go to the moon the first time and everything worked? And yeah, it is kind of amazing. Doesn't mean it didn't happen. And then they'll say, oh, well, we couldn't even go today. Well, as we're progressing further through late stage capitalism, everything's a lot more complicated today. It would take 10 years just to draw up a plan to go to the moon and another 10 years to build the craft. And they didn't do things like that back in the 1960s. They were a little bit more streamlined in how they did things. But looking at, conspiracy theories like this one, what I consider like the pinnacle, like the conspiracy theory of all conspiracy theories, that kind of, if you buy into this one, then you're kind of just going to be able to buy into anything. And that would be the 9/11 truthers out there, those who believe that the September 11th attacks of 2001 were a false flag. It was the government, the Bush administration, the CIA, the military, whoever you think was responsible for it. And usually how they really get traction is they tend to take things that happen very early after an event, like the very first news reports, the least accurate, and then they contrast them with later reports that are different. And then they point out, hey, there's a difference here. Somebody's covering something up or something's been changed. They don't want you to know the truth. And then the way that they present these things in videos. You can watch moon conspiracy videos out there. If you don't know much about it, if you just take it for what it is, they can actually be, it actually might look plausible. They can actually make a halfway decent case for it if you don't know much about it. Now, of course, the things that they're pointing out have all been looked at and dissected and explained. And but if you don't do that research and you just take it at face value, it might seem that they might have something here, but they really don't. It's kind of like when the 9/11 truthers point to footage from 9/11 and they're like, look at all that molten steel coming out of the building. Did you know that jet fuel doesn't burn hot enough to melt steel? What melted that steel? And of course, no, jet fuel doesn't burn hot enough to melt steel. But why do you think it's steel? Like, well, what else could it be? What's an airplane made out of? Huh? No. What's an airplane made out of? More than 80% aluminum, which melts at a much lower temperature. So before you go too far ahead, you need to look at the basics before you go too deep down their rabbit hole. Because a lot of times, if you just look at the data that they're presenting you without even questioning it or looking at it, then you may end up believing some of this stuff. And that would be unfortunate. That would be unfortunate if otherwise intelligent people end up believing silly things like this. Dumb people of lower intelligence, they're going to believe what they believe, and that's fine. But you don't want to get lumped up into believing the same thing as someone like that does. So yeah, looking at these theories and the way that they suck people in, and the way that this conspiracy cult, this like echo chamber that people get sucked into, where it really does become an alternate reality, it really does become something different, something existential from the reality that we all live in. And a lot of that happens to be tied to Christian eschatology, the end times, that these crazy events are going to happen. And in order to have these crazy earth-shattering events, well, they're going to need to be planned out. These things aren't just going to happen at the drop of a hat. So somebody or some organization, some entity has to be planning this stuff out. Conspiracy. It has it like cooked into the books right there. Because according to what they believe, there's got to be this antichrist out there. And he's got to be plotting world takeover. And he's got to get an apparatus for that. Because he's going to force everybody in the world to worship Satan. And or something. Or whatever. Take a mark in the hand. 666. You guys all know the story, but so if you're subscribing to that mindset, you're already going to be very open to conspiracy theories. You might even show up at a pizza parlor with guns looking to shut the adrenochrome factory down. Only to find out that you go in the basement. It's just the basement. It's not Hillary Clinton down there sipping adrenochrome martinis. As amazing and crazy as that would be, yeah, it's not reality. But people that get sucked into these echo chambers, into these ways of thinking, they form a new reality, and they're susceptible to anything. And it's you see it really like going into some of these, particularly the young Earth creationism side chats when they're playing these videos, and just seeing how disconnected these people are from reality. Like just listening to the arguments they make, listening to the claims that they make, they have no evidence for it, and then proclaiming things like, "Oh, Lucy has been debunked." Well, no, I mean, you may have heard that from other young Earth creationists who can't refute Lucy, the Australopithecus afarensis. They can't refute her link in human evolution. So you just say she's already been debunked, then you don't even have to refute it. No, she's already been debunked. There you go. I mean, the way they talk about evolution, established principles of science that have tons of evidence, tons of backing, tons of research, taught in every university around the country. They throw the whole thing out, throw it all out. It's all not true. It's all a conspiracy, actually, because these people that run these academic institutions, they know that evolution's not. They know there's a God. They're just they just don't want you to believe in it because either they're working for Satan or they're just they've so deluded themselves into denial because they don't want there to be a God. So even though they know there probably is one, they just pretend he's not because reasons. They can do things without feeling guilty about it, which doesn't even work because if they actually know that he really is there, why would that still get them past that, knowing that they're going to go to hell? I don't know. It doesn't make sense, but it doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't even have to be true because these people, at the end of the day, a lot of them don't even care if it's true. They just want a reason to believe. It doesn't have to be true. They're looking for an excuse to believe. And so any principle of science, anything you present them with that threatens their ability to believe, well, they'll throw that out and they will concoct whatever kind of theory they have to that allows them to do that. Moon landing fake? Well, hey, I mean, must be, right, Amy?
Indeed. And
well,
thank you so very much, James. I do have to make a comment.
Clip.
Thank you so very much. Well, no, and I know that I saw Titan was also greeted him. And I'm not even going to say, I'm going to say it like this. The whole 7-Eleven was a part-time job. Like, that really is what we're talking about, is conspiracy theory thinking. Because the people who actually did that, in fact, my joke, which I say it's my joke, I'm sure this comes from another comedian, is that science creates planes, religion flies them into buildings. And so, like, it
It's
really is the focus. Like, there were people who took credit for it, were proud of it, and were like, I mean, it makes me want to do a bit. It's horrible, but just maybe I've just listened to so much Bill Hicks lately, where just like you have Osama bin Laden trying to convince like a conspiracy theorist that he did
That
it.
he really did do it. Yeah. And they're like,
No, don't you understand? I had a plan. I got Yosef.
No.
But they took flight planning. I planned for Microsoft flight planning. It was hard. We bought a joystick and everything. Did you buy a joystick?
But Osama, did you know that Vice President Dick Cheney was in the Pentagon at the time? I mean, the Vice President in the Pentagon. I mean, how crazy is that? That doesn't that just seem like total? That. Yeah.
Well, I always like how they're
meeting with the Secretary of Defense. I mean, why would something like that ever take place? Government officials meeting together. I mean, of course, the plan.
But they're also
the human race for Satan. But of course.
But they're also like, why did like a giant flying thing filled with gas make an explosion? And like I feel like everyone, including the people right before their death, would have been like, I don't know, maybe it was the gas?
Jet fuel?
It was the jet fuel.
Well, if you remember, like...
The steel beams! Well, maybe you need a diamond axe. Minecraft joke. Successful.
At first, it came out that... They were saying, no, the Pentagon wasn't hit by anything. In fact, the Pentagon, some guy wrote a book, said it was a truck bomb because nothing hit the Pentagon. And then the Pentagon released cameras of something clearly going and hitting it. And they said, well, you just released like 4 cameras. Why don't you release them all? And that's the thing. You can just always ask for more, no matter what you're shown.
What happens is when something is, and this is just my lay opinion, but something becomes like there's something that's classified. A conspiracy theory revolves around it. 50 years later, they declassify it, and it was like Aunt Jane, Agent Aunt Jane, and so now everyone's like, oh, we know who Agent Aunt Jane is, and then none of the conspiracy theorists go away; they just ignore it. But James Wolfe says the conspiracy theory response when he meets God and God confirms that Oswald was a lone shooter. This thing goes deeper than I thought. Dun dun dun. We need to go derper.
And that's another thing. It's the first thing about that is the incredulity of it, right? Doesn't it seem crazy with as much security as the president has that one dude in a tower or out a window with an old bolt-action rifle could kill the most powerful man on the planet? It does seem kind of crazy. It doesn't mean it can't happen.
And yet, I always just, once again, they use incredulity. I would like to use incredulity in a different way, which is you don't believe that humans have faults and that they have blind spots and just all of this. It's the same way that they were able to make 7-Eleven a part-time job because humans were humaning and no one thought about that until someone did it.
Well, another thing that they like
then we become obsessed by it, but hopefully we are going to fight back all of them against this fundamentalism.
Well, a lot of times what they'll do is what they latch onto is there are always going to be open questions. There are always going to be things we don't know about an event. And like they'll latch onto that, like, oh, who is this one lady in the Zapruder film? The babushka lady. Who is that? We don't know who that is. So therefore, something's got to be going on there because we've never been able to identify who that one lady is. Well, I mean, yeah, we haven't, but doesn't mean it's of any significance.
and this will be my last comment on it, and then you can say something if you want, and then we'll go.
Yeah.
But generally, once again, I'm just spewing what I think I've heard from other comedians or scientists. When you don't have often when people do not have a good theory, they will reach for a conspiracy theory, which is why it's so critical to be a skeptic, to be able to say, I don't know, and that actually to be a strength, not a weakness.
And it a lot of these, they start with the kernel of truth. And the fact of the matter is that there are conspiracy theories, and that there does.
Got charged with fun ones. Good time.
There you go. That just by the numbers, there has to be at least like one or two of these crazy theories that seem crazy that turn out to be true, and that probably is true.
The problem
how do you identify which one? Because they all seem pretty crazy.
Is that most conspiracies? So a conspiracy just means two people doing a crime together in some fashion. That means you are conspiring. If you're on the phone and you talk about it, if you're in the room and you talk about it, you are conspiring. And so that does happen. What does not often happen is, as far as we can tell, not only do these massive worldwide conspiracies not happen, but they are just so unmotivated. It's the same like a god to me. I just don't understand what the point of having a flat Earth be. I don't get what the point of not us going to the moon. Like, what does that gain? Pick your poison. NASA, Mossad. I'm trying to think of other agencies. The CIA. What are they gaining out of this? Space Force now.
The government, not just the government, but also non-governmental conspiracies that we know to be true. The thing about them is that especially the more number of people are in them, the harder they are to keep secret. I mean, when 4 or 5 people conspire to rob a 7-Eleven, it's hard for all 4 or 5 of those people to keep their mouth shut so the police don't figure out who did it.
Once again, just a joke way older than myself. What is the only way that you know that another person isn't hasn't I wrote it now. What is the way another person hasn't spilled the beans, hasn't told? The answer is they're dead.
Well, there you go.
It's supposed to be two people. I ruined that joke. The concept still generally applies.
You think about it. They couldn't even keep secret the fact that Bill Clinton was having sex with Monica Lewinsky in the Oval Office. They couldn't keep that a secret. They're just not good at keeping things secretive. And
though we can call it a Colonel Sanders of truth.
Oh.
Thank you so
much. Finger looking good.
Finger looking good. I know Nixon shot JFK to cover up the flat Earth because have you seen the trees? Oh, sinister.
It'll be on the conspiracy websites by tomorrow.
I do have to say, it is a argument as old as time. I don't know if you all know this, but have you seen the trees? Go take.
Roger Stone said it was LBJ that killed Kennedy to come to presidency, and because he was corrupt, which he may very well have been corrupt. There might be truth to that, but
it's true. I need either a live studio audience or to put a laugh track, soundboard. But we are going to listen to hear Buzz Aldrin tell the story of the first moon landing by Science Museum with our commentary on top. though because it's not the opposition view, it'll probably be lighter than normal. I just think that of all the research I was doing, this was a great humanizing one. There was another one out there, but this one...
When Buzz Aldrin punched the conspiracy theorist in the face, he went running up to him, shouting in his face.
Let me make sure you can hear this.
Yeah. Buzz Aldrin socked him. Got him good, too.
Sock it to him. And all right, I wouldn't say the opposing viewpoint. Here is the humanizing viewpoint. Here Buzz Aldrin tell the story of the first moon landing.
I am Buzz Aldrin, and I was the lunar module pilot on Apollo 11.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hot
0.
pockets ready.
All engine running.
Oh, okay.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11. Tower cleared.
I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade.
Once again, not CGI footage. Do you see that? That's called a rocket ship. I would call it a spaceship, but it actually technically, because we are still in this era, is a rocket ship.
Do you think that looks like a rocket?
Oh, James, it just looks like CGI. In fact, you can see the words right here. I mean, come on. Would those words be hovering in space?
I mean, yeah, I'm thinking Photoshop.
I know, definitely.
It is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth. No single space project in this period will be more impressive.
And also, if you do want the spice after we have a humanistic viewpoint, we will be going to the open mic right after we're done this.
To mankind, or more important for the long-range exploration of space, and none will be so difficult or expensive to accomplish.
Just want to point out just another thing. It's just something I've been thinking about. I've heard other comedians talk about it before, but I just want to emphasize just like how dangerous just being a pacifist is. A lot of our heroes, you know, I know JFK was political, but you can think of just him and Gandhi. There was Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, the moment that he decided to actually give up racism and become and violence. Once again, just no more dangerous ideology than wanting to sell peace. And so my message is not to be a pacifist. My message is not to continue to sell peace. No. We must do so. It's that understand that our ideas scare the absolute out of them. Just understand that. So learn self-defense. And yeah, that's all I'm telling you.
Roger, Eagle, time dock.
Roger, how does it look?
Eagle has wings.
Roger.
Looking good.
Oh, now the
Roger,
popcorn's ready.
Everything looked normal when we separated. Little communications problems with Earth, but then when we got to the point of lighting the engine for powered descent.
Eagle,
He's lying. He's making it all up.
Making it all up. Also, by the way, just have to give a shout out because he doesn't look a billion years old in this. He's rocking like the daddy vibes. He's got the the sweater fancy over here, more casual in the center. I like it. Buzz.
Engine for powered descent.
Eagle, we got you now. It's looking good. Over.
Once again, real footage. Something that they cannot produce themselves.
It was Stanley Kubrick on a sound studio.
I know. Yo, it's funny. It was, I almost wanted to play like, in fact, I probably will if we don't get other people, or if we do, I may even show it because it's basically Rogan talking about how he used to be not think, but he explains the Kubrick angle that the conspiracy theorists think well. But yeah, we're going back into it.
Roger, copy.
Neil said, I think we might be a little long. Well, how could he tell that? He had some lines marked on the map and looking.
Also, I love the bands that he basically is saying right there.
You might be a little long, Amy.
We get to a point looking down where we're gonna want to yaw around and let the landing radar begin to correct the knowledge that the computer.
You'll notice you can't see the stars, and I was given this as a conspiracy theory, and yet there's a good explanation. I almost wanted that was the second video that I was talking about, which I would want to show maybe pieces of. It's that you don't think about it. Also, it's also a lot of the same reason why you don't see stars during the day, just because of how much
ambient light, right?
Light. And so maybe I'll show like just 10 seconds of the video, because it shows how much light you have to pump in to see the stars, and it basically knocks out the entire foreground. And so it's like, great picture. But yes.
Computer had of exactly what the orbit is.
Eagle Houston after yaw around angled S-band pitch -9er yaw +18.
And shortly after that happened, we began to get some program alarms.
Give us a reading on the 1202 program alarm.
Which interrupted the displays. Now, the displays to the crew from the computer were pretty basic. There were 3 registers of a lot of numbers, and you had to know what each one of those meant. But now they were blanked because we had this program alarm.
Same problem.
And so we
sometimes.
asked Houston what the problem was, if we're still
struggles real.
On that. After a few minutes, they came back and said,
Roger, we got you. We're going at alarm.
We continued down, but it tended to distract a little bit, but we were still on a good landing trajectory. As the lander gets down to about 500 feet, the commander, nobody has ever
15 feet
maneuvered and
say about 15 feet
of the landing craft. And so all the commanders agreed that at 500 feet, they would begin to manually control toward what looked like a reasonable landing spot. And everything still appeared to be okay. And I could see, and Neil also wanted to avoid a crater that was in front of us.
Forward.
When we were at about 100 feet, now Neil is looking out the window and manually controlling, and I'm giving him the numbers of the altitude rate or descent rate, and the speed over the ground.
40 feet down, 2.5. Picking up some dust. More forward.
And I keep updating with that information.
More forward, drifting to the right a little.
At about 100 feet, there's a light that comes on as a fuel quantity light. And about that time,
seems very sus. What do you think?
Charlie Duke says,
He's just pulling all this out of nothing.
James, are you going to buy all of this from PhD scientists? Are you going to trust the guy from www.thisistotalllyscience.blogspot.com?
I mean, this sounds more like something from WWE. I mean, how many times has he rehearsed this thing? I mean, the Mossad agents off camera must have really, I mean, they gave, he's an older guy. They must have gave him the Biden dose of Adderall and just crammed this script that he's reading into his head. I mean, I don't know. seems pretty suspect.
Quite sad once you start believing science, once you start
Ugh.
understanding reason and evidence. It's all downhill. Then you just
you
start
start
accepting
doubting.
things based on logic.
And you might doubt that the Sky Daddy loves you, but he does love you.
But James, he touches all of us with his noodly appendage.
So softly.
So softly.
Okay, 100 feet, 60. We better ease down, is what I'm saying.
Ease it down. Yeah. Come on in, Newman. Ease it.
By saying,
All
"Hey,
right,
Don't
we're
go
gonna
too rough.
go. I'm actually just gonna put one finger. We're just gonna go in real slow, and we're gonna work up to it.
hurry up,
Okay.
Lights on.
a little further, 30 seconds.
Wait. Oh, right there. Okay.
But we're 10 feet. I figured, we got it made. When the landing gear is just about to touch, there are probes that come down about 5
Oh
just about to touch.
my! See, once we
touching
start
and
talking
probes
about
come out.
probes, I know. Now we're starting to get excited.
And as soon as they hit the ground, they will bend. Because it's supposed to bend. And that sets a micro switch.
If it doesn't
and
bend,
lights
you're using
the
too
light
much
in the
lube.
cabin. And that's when I said,
Contact light.
of course, Neil is looking out the window and controlling it. But that's the first indication of actually touching down. And then we actually touch down to 4 gear. And I
Touchdown, Miami.
call out a few things that we need to do, like shut off the engine.
Okay, engine stop. We copy you down, Eagle. Tranquility Base here.
Go
The Eagle has
team!
landed. Roger, Tranquility. We copy you on
What?
the
An
ground.
eagle?
You got a
I
bunch
thought
of
we were
guys
using
about
a
to turn
spaceship.
blue. We're breathing
Rocket
again.
ship.
Thanks a lot.
This is the Sodomy Eagle.
Well, we touched down. And I think the estimate, not because somebody put a dipstick in the fuel to see how much was left, but it
Newman,
was
put your dipstick in the
calculations
fuel.
and,
It was 15 feet
information
long.
on board. We probably had about 15 seconds
Think with your
of
dipstick,
fuel
Newman.
left.
Did you just hear that, James? How many seconds left did he have of fuel?
I think he said 15 seconds.
That's damn right he did.
1 foot per second.
Okay, Neil, we can see you coming down
the Ooh.
ladder now.
Second pop tarts.
There's really no place
Like
on
home?
Earth
Oh.
that we could simulate a gravity of
Oh.
1/6 of what we have here. So there really wasn't a great simulation. Because of
Hypothesis?
that, we were scheduled at the bottom of the ladder to just hold on and sort of see what it was like under the gravity.
Okay, I just checked. Getting back up to that first step. That isn't collapsed too far.
Neil went down first, and he did things, and I could see him through the window.
Just the tip, Neil.
Oh my
Yeah,
god, okay. We can move to 2 fingers.
No trouble at all, just moving around.
It's one small step for man. One giant leap for mankind.
Oh, so you are my DoorDash? You didn't have to be dramatic about it. It's just, it's just fries.
Are you going to put a tip on there or not?
Exactly. Please. Fine. All right, fine. God. The fries are crispy, so yes.
So I knew that there wasn't going to be any trouble for me to move around.
About a 3-footer.
Not gonna be any trouble, is there?
Come with us, ma'am.
Beautiful view.
So we proceeded on.
Sexy.
Here, men from the planet Earth. First set foot upon the moon. July 1969. 8D.
Walking
Big D.
relatively easy. I demonstrated several memes near the end of our stay on the
Several
surface
memes.
in front of the TV camera. And that was planned up here.
On the daylight
if we
side of
had
the moon,
time. And it
this
looked
is what
to
you would
people
get.
back on Earth as if I was just having fun. But I was really doing something for people to observe the ease of mobility.
I also
So we
found it's like just another video that's like, I'm just gonna play like the 5 or 10 seconds of it, which would show you what it would take to get a star-lit moon photo.
Through the countdown.
Now we're
They have
almost
to turn
done.
the exposure down so low, probably.
Oh, exactly. And so just the ship is blown out, but you get stars. It's like great.
I mean, look at how much light there is because they're in the sun, the daytime side of the moon.
But yes, we are talking. Did we land on the moon? We figured we could play a bunch of schmucks on the TV, or we could actually put an astronaut. So we went with the option
Schmucks?
B. Yeah. Well, I'm very close to playing because I have a soft spot for, even though he pushes a lot of bullshit. Like he's not only a comedian, he's an atheist comedian. Like Rogan has one of my favorite quotes. He has, if you want to know the difference between a cult and a religion, is in a religion. You want to know the difference between a religion and a cult? A cult.
They've never heard it.
The leader knows that he's full of shite. And in a religion, that guy is dead. And that really does. It plays for seemingly many of the religions that we have before us. He actually has come closer to dropping a lot of conspiracy theories lately.
Rogan?
Bob, yes. Because he's like, you know what? He basically, and this is why I've been starting to shill this point. He's like, all the people that were telling me all this shit, he's like, I had to take a second. And he's like, none of them were people in lab coats. None of them were like the eggheads that had degrees. It was always just like the dude he got drunk with. And he's like, you know what? I'm actually going to just side with the eggheads.
Huh.
Hells yeah. It's what we need, ladies and gentlemen. Whatever political views, whatever, we need more atheists, non-believers, skeptics, whatever you want to call it. Because there's many pagans out there, many pantheists. I have to give my asterisks. But we do want to give a home also for the atheists and agnostics. And yes, he is. I mean, look, like I said, he is wishy-washy. And so I don't really want to it's hard for me to take a position really too pro on that, I would say, with big asterisks.
How big?
15 feet. 15 feet
long asterisk.
And I'll show him. I almost want to quote him after this because he talks about it. But he's like, they weren't. Why he went away from conspiracies. Because that's what I really want, is people to just go away from conspiracies. I want people to go from fundamentalist thinking, which I think is intertwined in a lot of this. I'm sure there are some conspiracy theorists out there that doesn't love Jesus, but for whatever reason, there seems to be this.
Real men love Jesus. You ever seen those memes?
I'm not sure, but I will say I love
Real
those
men
memes.
love Jesus.
Real men love Jesus. I see what's it called in the Discord now. I forget what the hell. Chad man or whatever the fuck.
Came from Earth.
And you're cleared for takeoff.
I had planned ahead.
Jesus, you're gonna make me a third hot pocket? All right.
What I was going to
Trying to
say.
feed you.
Now, when the lunar module takes off, it's about 1G, but that's 6 times
One finger.
the gravity. So we leave pretty rapidly.
So that finger really does get in there.
All up in there.
An engine is fixed,
All
so
up in there.
it's a rather sloppy feeling.
Oh, I bet it
what's
is.
expected. There was nothing wrong. And when the engine cut off, we were in a good orbit.
Some way, when those two Americans stepped on the moon,
Once
the people of this world were brought closer together.
real flag. It doesn't have to be. Once again, I don't want to go. I actually love the fact that we have an international audience, that we are basically have a worldwide skeptic and ranting community. So I'm glad that the American flag, I actually have learned that it's probably most of the color has probably faded on the flag. Nonetheless, it is a physical object. It is on the moon and will stay on the moon because it is not biodegradable. It is like the McDonald's bag that we left behind in the minivan. It will be there forever. But sending love, I totally agree with you, Stilette. Well, Jordan Peterson, someone that I even like less, because although I like the hero's journey and I am so happy, it's why I'm just, and I'll only say this, it's why I'm keeping my book. I'm about to finish the editing on the outline. On the last thing, I'm going to keep it 12 to keep it lined up with the hero's journey. But nonetheless, that's the only good thing, the secular. I don't like, we don't need any religious nonsense. And yeah, I listened to him debate Matt Dillahunty for 2 hours about the meaning of truth. And that's what happens when you're not a skeptic. Like, they talk about all this political incorrectness, like that word. But, like, it's amazing that how we seem to answer clear-cut questions. And yet, all of a sudden, everything gets fuzzy. But yes, we're about to jump into the end. I'm going to show like maybe only blips of maybe other videos, but I'm going to release the open mic in a second. So if you disagree with us, you're going to be able to join.
That it is that spirit, the spirit of Apollo, that America can now help to bring to our relations with other nations. The spirit of Apollo transcends geographical barriers and political differences. It can bring people of the world together in peace.
Can it? Yay for the New World Order!
Yes, Soros said that.
Let's get our George Soros
plan so far.
Our George Soros devil chips. I can't wait. You on mute?
Have to do that once a podcast. I just like miming. Yes, I wanted to say we have to at least shill. So that was just hear Buzz Aldrin tell the story of the first moon landing from Science Museum, along with our commentary on top. I also want to show just very quickly from CNET, moon landing conspiracy debunked again. So, again, can you guys hear this?
If you wanted a picture of the stars in the sky on the daylight side of the moon, this is what you would get. Pretty ugly. Can you imagine the kinds of comments the astronauts would have got if they'd brought back pictures like that?
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we don't see stars. Just had to put that into the evidence category. And then, I mean, maybe while I'm getting ready to queue up the Rogan thing, because I just want to play it.
You just want to play it?
We'll get the open mic. I'll also send that in there. Get that queued up. So anyone can join us. But yes. But yeah, James.
No matter the color of their jello.
I mean, sending love out there. We take creationists of all shapes and sizes.
We don't body shame
Or
creationists.
conspiracy
Creationist
theorists,
body
or whatever
shame?
they want to call them.
There you go.
And so if you'll just give me a second, I just want to find this. Do you have anything going on? Just have a role play or say hi to anyone in chat for a second. Just give me 1 second.
Everybody know. Yeah, we can just let everybody know that we have this coming Friday, Amy will be on Modern Day Debate, and we will be here afterwards with a Flat Earth after show. That is the topic. That I'm looking forward to that. That will be good. It's been a little while since Amy was out in the trenches on the Flat Earth fight. She's modded quite a few of those debates, but her home is in the octagon, fighting against these bad ideas, these silly ideas, and that's what we got coming up this Friday. I know at some point she will have a date for a Ken Hovind debate with SFT. At some point we will get that to you guys. That will be a lot of fun. I'm sure Kent is getting himself ready for it.
Oh my, I'm sure he's preparing himself with brand new slides never before seen.
Never before seen, huh?
But I just wanted to say this because I'm trying to think if this even...
He did some wild ass fucking movies, though, man.
He did.
2001. The conspiracy theory about him directing the moon landing was that he was doing it at the same time he was doing 2001. So because he was faking this space movie, 2001: A Space Odyssey, that they used him to fake the moon landing footage.
Yeah, totally.
There's a fake documentary, not a real documentary, but a fake, like a mockumentary, where he's admitting. And people are talking about. Have you seen that one?
No, but that makes sense.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, dude, you didn't even know there's an actual real interview with him where he admits that he faked the moon landing. But it's not.
Yeah,
it's fake. But it's.
Were you ever on the in the camp of the moon landing was fake?
For years.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite all-time conspiracies because it's so strange and we never went back. I abandoned it because I don't know anything about astrophysics or space travel or any of that stuff, and the people that do think it's real. So I'm like, okay, well, most likely
they think the landing really happened.
Yeah. But there's so many weird things to it.
So he once again, though, he got convinced by the scientists, and there's another story that he explained it in one other podcast, but I'd have to find it. But I wanted him to say this.
That's an argument from authority. He's just believing it because somebody in a lab coat tells him that.
And that's kind of what they say to us. I mean, they're basically like, you're just agreeing with, but that's what science is. That's what having a field of expertise is.
And it's not just the authority. It's the fact that the scientists they don't just say, I'm a scientist, I think it's true, therefore, if you don't, you're an idiot. They can tell you, here's why we think it's true. And if you don't understand, like, the data that they're able to present, if that is too high level for you, I mean, that is the only time where it comes in where you have to accept their authority because they actually know what they're talking about.
My thoughts high.
Yeah.
And
hey,
so,
if you had a PhD in the topic, you might be able to understand it as well as they do. So,
and what I will say, we are going to probably rant and rave for like 20, 30 minutes. We'll go to hour 2 if no one heads on. but we are looking actually for people who disagree with us and agree with us. I say, because Midnight Rantings are not the call-in show. This is actually a open mic. However, we understand that atheists and theists, James, it might be a hard net to get, because this may be the one subject where everyone kind of comes together. That's what he or she said. Like I said, you have to be in certain circles in the interwebs.
Come on, Orange Jello. Come on.
I'm so surprised. We used to make fun of the gas comment, but he really is. He really does flirt with it. Like
he's becoming more of a flat earther. Yeah,
I mean, once again, is it so much crazier than a 6,000-year-old Earth universe?
It's kind of all in the same ballpark, really.
But if you think we're wrong, if you think we're even doing theists wrong by trying to pack them together, come tell us.
You think the red Jello is better than the orange Jello?
That's right.
Or the lemon.
Oh, the lemon Jello.
Lime Jello.
Go lime Jello. Why not? And sure, so Sensitive Spooky, I totally agree. Now, the question is, I think these are more recent. I think he has come around. But, you know, because he used to believe in a lot of wacky stuff.
Well, he just
he's also had a lot of
a conspiracy, a moon landing conspiracy.
Sure. And he's probably, if you asked him, he would say he still has that mindset. And I also don't want to, you know, once again, I'm not trying to go and pro or anti Joe. I will say he's a comedian, and as a comedian, that does put him in my camp, though. So does what's it called? Who the hell? Steven Crowder and all that, and he makes less jokes and more political commentary.
Well, he's more of a political commentator than a.
Oh, sure, but I would ask him. I would say,
is he a comedian?
If he asked himself, he probably would say that. But you know, I'm biased. I like my Jon Stewarts, who I think are, even though they're liberal, I think they put comedy first. Though, once again, you can be liberal or conservative. It doesn't matter who you are. I don't want to take sides because I gotta hold my cred card that is right here. But
I mean, come on though. You don't even accept biology. So how could you accept?
Oh my goddess! And once again, I'm gonna only bring that up as much as I get brought up, because I don't want to also. I was thinking about that the last stream as I brought it up so many times, but it was because I'm sending love to the Politics and Ranting stream. I can't help myself. They're actually a lot of fun. I've been having a great time on there. Randolph stream is one of the most fun I have had in a long time, and they just love that question. Like, it is just the hot shit. Like, not only is it the hot shit, but it's met with such a they think they're like it's an Augustine level argument. Like, they think it's collab and what's a woman, like equal level. And it's like,
asking Sarah Palin what she reads on a regular basis.
Exactly. Generally it's Dr. Seuss. Though no offense to Dr. Seuss, who writes great stories. But it's not. It's just what's most offensive about that question is that they really have almost no idea what a woman is. Like, underneath the layer, they're like, a woman, they have an XX chromosome and came from the rib of a man. And you're like, I'm sorry, what was step number 2 again?
What's the quote from Kindergarten Cop? Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
Which they like to shout. Once again, they like to keep everything very simple until you actually dig into the biology. And they're like, who's really looking?
It's so complicated,
So
It would have to
complicated.
be.
Can I
it has to be
also
designed.
just a shout out to Shannon, who I assume, because she does this, and any other biological girl that just absolutely pins down creationists. You will never see a creationist sweat than having a biological woman basically pin someone down kinky on the question of prove I have a vagina. Go. Prove I am a biological woman. Do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Oh, you're not the potty police? You don't have an invisore? And she once again, it doesn't always have the same strength because a trans person can obviously say that, but it really is just lovely watching them sweat to tears, realizing that they can't. But once again, sending love. The only reason that you guys are obsessed with our genitals to begin with is because of religion. So I know you're like, identity politics, gender studies, feminism. Insert buzzword. No, it's religion. It's always religion. You wouldn't give about gays. You wouldn't treat women as second-class
Any of the
citizens.
LGBT community, they wouldn't care about that. If it
Really?
wasn't for
Like
the
atheists, agnostics, we are all cats. It's like herding cats. And yet the amount of baggage we just whoosh when we drop religion. Doesn't it feel good, James, to not have all of that hate?
Well, I mean, when you're particularly Christianity, you have to constantly have this cognitive dissonance. You have to constantly be ready to make excuses for God, like, oh, look at this atrocity or this bad thing. So, okay, what's my excuse for that one? Oh, what's my excuse for that one? Oh, he works in mysterious ways. Or when we get to heaven, he'll explain it to us. Yeah, he'll explain it to us when we get to heaven. Yeah, we don't have to do that anymore. We can say that, oh, looks like just a bunch of bullshit that ancient man wrote down because it made sense to them at the time, right?
They also love that whenever we don't have something or they get pushed into a corner. Oh, you'll find out about it when you die. Oh,
that's
or they don't even say when you die. They just like they leave that. It's just like
you'll find out one day.
Oh, you'll find out about it. Oh, thanks. Will I? When will I find out about it? Oh, at the magic show at 6 p.m.
Somebody mentions like Stephen Hawking to Ken Hovind, and he's like, well,
he knows now, right?
He knows now. Ooh, he's met God, and God was not happy about what he did. And what did I see today earlier? Somebody posted a meme about non-belief, and it's a show we may end up doing. We may end up doing it tomorrow, on apostasy and non-belief. And I was just thinking today that what if there was a God and he loved mankind enough to allow them to use the brain that he gave them to make up their own mind about what seems to be true and not true about the world.
I forget which comedian it was, but they're like, what if God exists, but they only let atheists into heaven?
Hey.
They're only like, yeah, you believed on bad evidence, so...
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, there is a God, but the test is being intellectual. No, I've heard it before, yeah. But, yeah, like the way it is, like, under Christianity especially, like, how it works is you're born. You didn't do anything. You didn't ask for anything to happen. You are just brought into this world due to the actions of your parents. And then basically, as soon as you're able to understand language, they thrust this book in front of you and say, hi, little Amy. Hi, little James. There's a God and he loves you so much. And here's a list of things you have to believe. You don't get evidence for them, but trust me, they're all true. And you just have to believe them with faith. Otherwise, God's going to kill you and torture you forever if you don't believe this stuff. And they say this to you when you're 4, 5, 6 years old, when you don't know anything about anything.
And then they sit there and talk about child abuse. They're like, oh my God, the LGBTQ are out for your children. Also, Billy, if you don't believe this, you're going to burn forever.
Right.
Off to kindergarten.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Oh, let's have our we'll pass around these coloring books and we'll color some pictures about the great genocide. Oh, I mean the happy fun Noah's flood with all the animals in a boat. Wouldn't that be nice, Amy? Have all the animals in a nice big boat, like a nice cruise ship, just full of animals, dinosaurs included. But it's okay because they all eat. They all eat. They're all vegetarians, so it's fine. Don't worry about all the dead bodies floating around and all the animals who didn't make it on the ark. There weren't the 2 of each sort who had to drown. Don't even think about that. God has a plan. God has a plan.
It's a very special plan. He checked it twice. Also, sending love to Randolph Richardson, who has to tuck in because his wife wants a massage. And let me tell you, there has been no more fantastic reason to head to You Can't Join a Live stream. So sending Randolph Richardson.
Spicy over there.
Yeah, it's a little spicy. Well, and another thing. Well, first of all, they always shoot on us because they're like, you don't believe in family values. Once again, James will know that falls under my bullshit 2-word structure. Woohoo! Sending love, Randolph Richardson. Sending love, Randolph, because what we really care about is family. Family is important, and family. You make your own values, you make your own traditions, and family are the people who love you. And so sending love,
Yeah.
I have great blood family. I know there's a lot of people. So sending love to both the blood family out there, sending love to the people who are in your lives, who make themselves family, your loved ones, your friends, everyone in between.
But I mean, again, like with everything with religion, it's family values, but only if your family conforms to this very rigid idea, their idea of what a family is and what type of values there should be. And these are dictated by a deity thousands of years ago. And if your family doesn't conform to them, then that's bad. You guys are bad. And
it's bad.
Yeah,
but sending love, I will say,
bad.
I sent the Twitch stream into the YouTubes if you would love to join our growing followers on there. Though we are going to spend about 10 or 15 more minutes,
a little bit,
and then we'll wrap up, because I've said I feel much better. I had, and it's okay. As humans, we feel and think. You have to emotionally want to accept logic. You can emotionally say, I don't want to accept logic, and then logic doesn't mean anything. So, which we see in religion. That's kind of what I think religion is. And so I think we should be putting logic, reason, evidence. These should be our standards. Hey, Luxor is about to join us at the end. So what I think we'll do is I will add 20 minutes to the clock for it. And we will go into an open mic. Is your body ready, James?
Well, I wanted to comment one thing about family values before we open it up to Luxor. I remember it was a few years ago, and I was listening to it was a YouTube channel. It was a Catholic priest, and he was talking about just a regular priest. No reason to think that he's one of them. But anyway, just a standard priest. But he was talking about like Catholic like parents and like all the Catholic families that are, going to get to heaven, and they're going to find out that particularly their son ended up in hell because they didn't crack down on like the pornography and the master debating that that Catholicism says are mortally sinful. So the fact that we're so lax on that it's so pervasive and accepted today is yeah. So your kids are going to go to hell because
Yes.
Your kids are going to go to hell.
And hell is an evil concept.
Unless you set up cameras in their bedroom to watch them, and not sneaky cameras to catch them doing stuff. No, like overt cameras so they can't do anything.
Well, they think God is watching 24/7, 365. So not an Orwellian concept at all.
No. I mean, hey, you don't want your teenage kids doing anything, a little naughty at night under the covers, because, I mean, that would just be wrong. God would be personally and morally offended by that. God might have to roast them forever in an oven if they die while having done something like that. So
Send in love. See, I feel like I have to at least to read it if I bring it up. Heard do you carry beliefs are true for far too many talk show hosts. It's one of the dumbest questions ever. Do you care if you're that is the real thing. People need to ask, do you care if your beliefs are true? But I also, first of all, I want to send love to Jason Jacoby. Woohoo! Sending so much love out there. I hope we're tucking you in as well as boo-doo-doo.
I don't think
another
it's a
joke.
I think
and
it's a totally valid question.
Yeah, exactly. And once again, another comedian was just like, do you think God just makes the 72 virgins fresh? Do you think it's just 72 virgins that were waiting and were just like, hey, we died, and here's Ahmed?
Continuously made virgins.
Or do you think they're like in-house virgins, 72, and then he continued to ruminate and be like, well, I mean, that implies, you can only use them
once.
once.
Be a virgin for very long.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, damn, I only got like 3 virgins left. I've used them all. After it's terrible being a paradise.
After
Paradise
the first
problems,
3 days.
Hashtag. Exactly. Oh my. Oh, how many can you get through in 15 seconds each?
Of course, that's what happens when you have your religion and your heaven constructed by a guy who marries girls under the age of 10.
That's another. And they normally kick you after you start asking that question.
I can see why that would be a little soft spot for them, but
they also normally get that after bringing up how terrible and debaucherous these secular societies around them are.
Oh, really? Right. Because we don't have our objective moral standard that they have, so we just have our own bumbling senses to go on. We don't have that, objective moral standard.
Exactly. But we are going to bring him on. Oh, actually, we're about to bring him on. I have timing, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I will say, because I get to rant, I already said it once, but I have to say it again, James. Do you have any idea how excited I am at this outline? It sounds like I've been talking about it recently. I've been working on this thing for years. Holy moly. And unlike Jesus, I'm going to write this thing because Jesus never apparently, there's no first-handed stories. There's no Jesus journal.
And we have to wait.
Oh my God! Now that makes
decades
me.
After.
Can you imagine? It's like a fully grown 35-year-old Jesus, but like it's like this is the diary of Jesus. It's like sparkles. Oh my God, I have been going down. The Romans have been super mean. Diaries of Jesus.
That tree, I killed that tree because it didn't have fruit out of season. And I didn't know that, even though I'm a god and I know everything.
Doorknob Head, I'm pretty sure there is a philosophical name for this conundrum, much like I'm trying to think of what does God command it to be good, or is it good so God commands it? One of the age-old questions Doorknob Head asks. Question for Amy and James: who let the dogs out? I mean, can we really know? Can we really know? Truly?
I mean, aren't we all just in the projector room of the Matrix?
That's right. Once again, I can feel just Titan's joke in the back of my head. When solstice throw a party, everyone's invited.
There you go. Yeah, I said that one quite a few times. No, I've seen him say that quite a few times. That definitely is Titan right now.
Oh, we have claim. Ladies and gentlemen, Mubarak has in fact let the dogs out. We can put this philosophical for thousands of years, because I assume that's all the creationists think. That
you could make a Muslim version of that song, like "Who Let the Brookas Out." It could just be like a bunch of them flying through the sky.
I will stand by it. I would go down on a lady with a hijab. I'm not sure if I'd do a burqa. I mean, like a burqa, you are basically that's like a portable glory hole at that point. I'm not sure. I feel like the intimacy is just gone.
Do they have holes there?
I think so. They have flaps. I'm pretty sure.
They have flaps in the burqa?
They can make it work. But like with a hijab, you at least can see the face. It can be a different color than just black. You can have like a purple flowered hijab where you can see the face. Her makeup's done. She's got long eyelashes and lipstick. We can work with that.
It's just the hair that triggers those.
Well, I find any religion, including the Jews, when men wear it, when men wear kippahs, I find that silly too. The fact that you need a little hat for God. I would let it.
Any uniform.
Let a rabbi with a kippah peg me. Once again, I'm not prejudiced. It's not about that. I'm just
let Ben Shapiro peg you.
I would let someone please get a water bottle. Just pour it all over his wife.
If you would
help her out.
If he's paying enough, I mean, hey, come on, Ben. He's got a lot of money.
That's right.
He's got a lot of money.
I got a lot of college loans, so we can make a transaction work. Make a threesome work. Maybe he's into voyeurism. All right, we are gonna go basically at the mark for 2 hours. So we're going to add 15 or 20 minutes onto the clock, and we are going to get Luxor into our midnight ranting. Did we land on the moon? Let's have some fun. Woo-hoo! What is up, Luxor? We are talking about did we land on the moon? How are you, and what are your thoughts about anything we saw or the subject itself tonight?
Hey, buddies. How's it going?
Hey.
Yeah, Ben Shapiro's an interesting character.
Isn't he, though?
So, I guess I didn't see anyone else jumping on, and I didn't want you guys to have a short stream, so I figured I'd jump on and throw out some ideas.
Hey, go ahead.
So, I do. I guess personally, yeah, I think that there's a pretty good chance that we landed on the moon and everything like that. But also, from what I've seen, there's not very convincing evidence for me that the videos that we've been seeing are actually taken from the moon. Because and I mean, I don't know, I'm not exactly a video analyst, but I have sat through a few different video analysts that have actually gone through some of the footage and showed different artifacts, and what artifacts being like some sort of aberration or something on the screen that's not supposed to be there, from like the video cameras and different stuff like that. So I mean, I'm sure you could easily just go to YouTube and Google like something like a video analyst breakdown of the moon landing or moon footage or something like that. There's also, I mean, there's things that everyone knows, like the flying flag that's waving in the wind and whatever. And then other people say, "Oh no, it's just that they shook the flag and then it kept shaking for a while because the gravity."
Planting it into the ground, yeah.
Yeah. So
but then it stopped.
Yeah. So there's also, stuff like things that I've seen on those videos where there's just like little glimmers of light, like reflections of light somehow, which makes it look like there were studio lights shining on little wires or something holding up the people. And then videos of them in some parts like kind of falling down. I don't know if this was on the first I don't know if this was on like the what is it, the Buzz Aldrin landing or not, because some of these things I've seen, there were just short little video clips, but like whenever the astronauts have fallen down and they've just kind of floated back up, the gravity is so much less.
Yeah, because the gravity is so much less, they're just able to push themselves back up very easily, and it looks like they're just automatically coming right back up.
Yeah, that's I would encourage people just to watch the footage themselves and see if it looks like there's someone doing a pretty strong push-up and somehow rotating back on their feet, or if it looks like something else. There's also like a lot of these like the modern videos I've seen of people like doing interviews from space and stuff like that, where you can see there's obviously like they're spinning and then something happens. They get caught on one of the wires that they're suspended from, or maybe they're videos that are taken just from like very high altitude planes where they're, I don't know, maybe diving back down into the towards the Earth, so it makes it look like they're in space and they're floating. I mean, there's a lot of weird shenanigans that it seems like we're not really there's doesn't really seem to be good answers for, especially since NASA's secretive and they get a lot of classified stuff. And then is something I haven't researched at all, so I don't know how it works, is like how thrusters work in a vacuum. But I've heard some interesting things about that as well, like how do they fly, this the module down to the surface. And I mean, like if it's a vacuum and there's pressure going out into the vacuum, wouldn't that it doesn't have the same physics as it does whenever you're in atmosphere, I guess. Let me see here. The also it seems that there were no real like amazing feats, like astronauts jumping around doing backflips, and which I know might have been dangerous. You don't want to bust your suit while you're out there, but it seems like they never did anything more than jumping maybe a foot off the ground, or maybe 8 inches off the ground or something like that, which also seems strange if they're able to just simply do a quick push up and right themselves back on their feet. Wouldn't they be able to do, I don't know, I would guess some pretty interesting things, or for experimental purposes, just see how high they could jump or something like that. And then I've also watched like some side-by-side video comparisons of people in a studio jumping up in the air, but played back in slow motion, like maybe
Right.
60% speed, and it's exactly the same motion. So I mean, it looks exactly the same. So a lot of the stuff, it looks like it's slow motion footage. Maybe footage that's slowed down to 60% playback speed or something like that. So there's like a lot of those questions that I mean I've done some basic research on these things, and I've looked around, and it's like it seems like there's so much confusion regarding the matter. So, and a lot of it seems to be, counterintelligence, just plain old counterintelligence. Some of it seems to be just a lot of these I would say maybe unlearned conspiracy theorists out there that are just throwing out these crazy speculations and crazy ideas that can be answered with some simple math or science or something like that. And then there's a smaller number of people that actually are talking and making a lot of sense. They'll use math. They'll say, hey, if the gravity is this much on the moon, and where according to these articles that were released in the 60s, like between 1964 and 1969, the actual weight of the astronaut plus the space suit would have been equivalent to something like between 62 and 75 pounds on the moon. So I mean, if you weighed 62 pounds, even up to 75 pounds on the moon, you could do some pretty amazing things, especially 1/6 gravity. And
but that's why you would weigh. So you don't get both. You don't get you weigh that much and 1/6 gravity. You get if you're doing it one or the other.
Yeah,
it's not like there are people that are 60 or 70 pounds on Earth, and they can't jump 20 feet high or do any of the crazy stuff like you're seeming to think the astronauts should have done on the moon.
Yeah, but here's another, maybe a math question that I haven't looked into.
Do you mind? I'm just gonna put it into open discussion.
Yeah, I think.
Because I was gonna say I've been waiting because I wrote some notes. I just want to have just some comments. I can't help it.
What was that my intro there? I don't know if that was my intro.
Yes, that was your intro.
I was wondering why I was on the screen by myself. I'm like, what? I guess
that's right. We just have intros for everyone, and then we go into open discussion. But
yeah, I'm still not used to the system, I guess.
Because this is
once we take over the entire media.
That's right. Once we conquer the world, this is a near and dear subject to my heart because I work in the visual effects industry, and so when I hear claims like this could be computer generated or faked, I am highly skeptical. Like just the amount of equipment and technology, like people know when things are CGI within like 10 years. They're like, ew. And so
you ever see the original Terminator, 1984?
Yeah. And so I wanted
groundbreaking for the day, but not convincing at all.
And at the time, it was amazing. But then I'd have to see like the glitches. I know there are always going to be like artifacts, especially on older films. But I wouldn't view that as like evidence that it wasn't recording at either from what is it called, low Earth orbit, or then eventually space. I wouldn't say that doesn't take it away from just someone was in a lab, or not in a lab, in a studio. I also just want to bring up this. I was watching. It's just funny you said, out of curiosity. Let me just do. I'm just gonna as I say that, and then I messed up the thing. There we go. Give me a second.
Perhaps one of the most talked about pieces of evidence to suggest the moon landing was faked is the alleged movement of the U.S. flag planted by Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. Theorists say the flag moved after it was planted, so wind, which can't exist on the moon, must have blown the cloth. The flag does move as it's being planted. There's no denying that. But it's the act of planting the flag that caused ripples to move through the cloth, not fluttering in the wind. After 40
You're on mute.
Yeah, that would just be my thing. Just because the flag was moving doesn't mean that there was air not generated by the astronauts. I mean, it's moving when they're going like this.
Yeah.
Trying to think. The push-ups, like, at a certain point, it sounded like you were asking why weren't they doing backflips, would be how I sum that point up. Like, sure, they're doing push-ups, but...
Have you ever seen the video clip he's talking about? I've seen it where one of them, like either Neil or Buzz, they like stumble over, and it does kind of look like they've got like a rope on there or some kind of cable pulling, because they go right back up. I think that's just because under that gravity, it wouldn't take you a lot of force to pull yourself back up like it would here on Earth.
And I'm trying to think, is that and then the counter two, and yeah, with just the 62 pounds and stuff, I think there are good explanations for, if not scientific explanations, for all of the things that they use the term skeptic, but we use the C word that they don't.
I think NASA themselves put out like some material refuting a lot of these.
And I mean, we could go on at any time during the day. Hold on one second.
This was when we realized we had a chance to make it.
But what we have inside is a powder, and so if it's coffee, it's powdered coffee. If it's juice, powdered juice. This happens to be milk, and
live stream.
And then
24/7.
Some of our food is dehydrated. So here's an example of a dehydrated food that we would.
And 24/7 live stream.
And my last thing is just I don't understand the motivation. Like, they always say, like, to keep the sheeple under control. There's this massive government that wants to, but and Randolph Richardson's about to join. Okay, we will go to 2:30. We're gonna keep on adding as we get. Luxor, do you want to say anything before I added? Because it didn't seem like you were either really one way, so I don't want to seem like it was attacking you either. I was just trying to add my case into the journal.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've just my point, I guess, my idea is, I think that my general thoughts on it are the government in the backroom sector, I guess, they're much more competent than what we imagine. I mean, because of all the technology they have that we don't know about. And the things that we imagine, like, oh, well, they couldn't have done that because, no, our technology wasn't there. I mean, I would allow for a little bit of extra room, at least a little bit of extra room for them to have technology that's more advanced to get to the moon. And a lot of people talk about, oh, well, what about the Van Allen belts? Well, we're going to have like a 6-foot steel or 6-foot lead barrier and all that stuff. But it's in my mind, I mean, there's so many things that they have already that they're slowly releasing to the public. I mean, that they had back in like the 60s and maybe the 50s that they're just releasing now or recently. And it's like, I would imagine that they would have had the technology to get there and everything, but they couldn't necessarily say, oh, okay, we use this secret technology that you guys don't know about. We're keeping things from you. I mean, that probably wouldn't be the right political maneuver, you know? So I think that we're absolutely able to get there. I think we probably did, but I also think that the footage that we've seen is not, it's probably not taken directly on the moon itself, or it seems to, there just seems to be too many questions surrounding it to really say like, yeah, that was for sure the moon footage. And especially when you have like Buzz Aldrin that said, like, I think he was on the, I don't even know what show it was, like one of those late night talk shows, the Conan O'Brien, I think. And he said that, oh, well, he was talking to Conan, and he's like, oh, you didn't see me land on the moon. What you saw was an animation of it, because the delay, or because the technology, not the delay between the Earth and whatever, but he said it was an animation of us landing on the moon because we didn't have the technology to broadcast it straight back. Or even if they did have the technology, maybe on that little tiny shuttle, they didn't have the capabilities to broadcast everything back to the Earth in real time. I don't really know.
Need to see that interview, just because I don't understand. Like, it's not an animation. Maybe there's a lag, and so you're not seeing a real-time stream, but it doesn't get translated into an animation.
Yeah, well, I thought it, and he might have said it incorrectly. I don't know, but he said, you didn't see me land on the moon. What you saw was an animation of it. So, which, I mean, it doesn't seem, he probably used it wrong, because in my mind, an animation is a cartoon. In the videos that we've seen, they're absolutely not cartoons. But I mean, who knows? That maybe they did have some really good CGI back then. We just didn't know it. I can't say, but I'm just saying there's a lot of questions that, you know, just like with all the, there's some truly crazy flat Earth ideas out there. But there's a lot of them that I'm like, man, I really can't make sense of this point that they brought up. So the same thing with something like this. It's like I hear arguments from both sides.
Can you give an example of a point that a flat earther has ever made that was like a good one?
This one I would love to hear.
Well, we might get into a whole other I guess debate here.
Well, I can't help it. Let's bring in Randolph Richardson.
She's getting ready to do a flat Earth
Let's
debate.
just say that James and I might be skeptical, but exactly, we're about to do a flat. But we always enjoy people who, I mean, we do calls for people to come in and disagree with us. So thank you, Luxor, for sticking around with us. Let's add Randolph Richardson into the panel. Randolph Richardson, what is up? We're Midnight Ranting on Did We Land on the Moon? Hope you're having a fantastic day-night experience. And what are your thoughts about the topic or anything we've talked about?
Oh, I believe that we sent people to the moon and they landed there. It's I think one of the problems is that a lot of the technology and other related information was kept secret. And you know, looking back on it, I think it probably would have been better if more of it was revealed, because I suspect that paranoia might have just been based in the idea that the enemy knowing, potential enemies knowing what the technological capabilities are could be a disadvantage. But, you know, in retrospect, it probably really wasn't. So, no, to me, it seems pretty obvious, and you know, we're continuing to do that. You know, I think it'd be good if we're putting more people on the moon again in the future, and continuing with our studies of this, and possibly, you know, I like the idea of some kind of a base being set up there, that an actual structure being built, and there can be astronomical studies being done there. There's no problem with light pollution like what we see with from Earth here, for example. So it'd be a fantastic place to have telescopes set up and whatnot. No, that's just my opinion anyway. I do. To me, it's not even a reasonable question to ask. It's so obvious. And China's been up there recently as well and got pictures of the dark side of the moon.
With their moon bases, right? On the dark side.
Also, I like memes, as I'm sure many people here know. If you want to put this one on full screen, it's a lot of fun. I don't know if you can. It's Neil Armstrong was the first person to land on the moon. Neil Armstrong, spelled backwards, is Gnorts, Mr. Alien. There we go. We're getting there. So, oh yeah, you've got a border on. I should see if I can do something about that. But I thought this was a fun meme. And, I think it's people also, they talk about, oh, hey, you got it. And then somebody posted as the FBI and wrote, delete that right now. I love the internet for stuff like this. It's fantastic.
Coincidence?
So,
there you go. Hard-hitting evidence.
Hard-hitting evidence. Yeah, right. Yeah. And the other idea that seems to flow from this is that there are aliens in Area 51 being studied against their will, medical experiments being done on them, and these sorts of ideas. And I think that we can be pretty sure now, pretty close to 100% sure now that there aren't any aliens there. Otherwise, Donald Trump wouldn't be able to stop talking about it.
Thank you so very much, Randolph Richardson.
I'm serious about that. As funny as it sounds. Yeah. You're welcome. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. We're going to keep on going for a little bit longer. And we're having fun midnight ranting on Did We Land on the Moon? Yeah.
I'd like to throw out a couple more ideas if
keep on
you have
going.
time for
Oh,
me.
sure. Sounds good.
I like one for punishment.
So I've seen videos of both, Buzz Aldrin, Neil Armstrong, some of the early astronauts in interviews as compared to some of the modern astronauts. And Buzz Aldrin and some of the earlier astronauts basically say that they couldn't see anything out in space. It was all black. There was no stars. I think that I'm not sure if they said they were able to see the light from the sun. I think maybe they said the sun was the only thing that was visible. And then the modern astronauts, they say, oh yeah, it's amazing. It's so bright. You can't even believe it. There's billions and billions of stars. So I think that's an interesting discrepancy.
I think you're looking at it two different ways, because the people on the space station are not the same people on the moon.
Mm-hmm. Which I mean, that might be so, but I think that the people on the space station, they've said that some of the interviews I've seen are the people saying, oh, well, there's no atmosphere in the way, so you can basically see straight out into the stars, and it's amazing. So if they're saying there's no atmosphere, I don't know exactly how much of an atmosphere there is between the space station and the and out to the point where there's no atmosphere. But I thought that was something interesting that I don't really know how to quantify that, because how did they see something so very different if one of them said, no, you can't see anything, and then in modern times they're saying, oh yeah, it's amazing, you could see everything. So that's another something to think about. And then also there was an interesting video I saw where there was, I think it was George Bush Sr. was going through a like NASA. They're wheeling him through some political thing, I don't, some PR thing, and they're wheeling him through NASA, and he was shaking everyone's hand. They're standing up, saluting him, clapping for him, and in the background you see on a TV screen a guy with there's like a green screen, I think it was, behind him, and there's a floating tennis ball next to him, and he's pointing at the tennis ball, and showing something. There's no sound for it. And then I saw right next to that is this video, that exact video you saw in the background that was released to the public, that showed this guy floating out in space it might have been the space station, I don't know where, but I hadn't looked into it, who this guy was or anything like that. But it showed that there was like an apple floating next to him, and he's floating and everything. And it was the exact same video, but this one was done with a green screen. So that makes me think, okay, if they're purposefully making videos on the green screen to release to the people, and they're telling them, oh, this is the real thing. Look, it's an astronaut out there floating around. That's seems to be with the intentional purpose to mislead people. And
I am unaware of any green screen created NASA footage.
Well, that might be from a lack of research. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you really deep dive into this stuff, but
I agree. Do you have any research?
I do have some. I mean, there's the videos on YouTube. I mean, I've seen videos on YouTube of people like analyzing these things.
Is that the top tier research? Though?
But I also just showed you videos that counter that. So it's like YouTube versus YouTube. So we may have to. Who's peer review? And in fact, can I actually? I want to get to the root of it, Luxor, because you're like really close to being. I can tell that sometimes you want. That's why we say agnostic sometimes, because you want to always be open-minded, like when we're talking about religious things. But I have to ask you: do you consider yourself a skeptic?
Yeah, I'd say.
Can I ask, what does that word mean to you?
Well, someone that questions everything and tries to take in the truth, no matter what the truth is or what it looks like. I would say I'm more of a Gnostic than an agnostic.
More a Gnostic than an agnostic.
I try to go down that route.
As in, you believe the Gnostic text, or you're like a Gnostic as in you know something exists?
No, I would say I like the Gnostic philosophy. I guess you could say, because I mean, if just from the things that I've already spoken about on other ones of your podcasts, other shows that you've had, I would say a lot of my ideas kind of line up with what their ideas are, like this ultimate consciousness that you can't really define or describe, but there's something that points in that direction, or there's things that point in that direction, and you try to keep moving in that direction as far as discovering different ideas or truths about the universe, and see if they actually point that way or if they point in a different way. So I just, the thing with, I guess, with everyone is everyone has their specialties, and we only have a certain amount of time to spend. So it's like, okay, how much time do we spend at work versus how much time do we spend with our families versus how much time do we spend researching versus how much time do we spend watching TV or playing video games or cooking, cleaning, all that stuff. So it's like I kind of specialize in not knowing anything, and I just try to do basic research on everything, and then hash out kind of what direction my mind's pointing on every individual topic.
So, and I can appreciate what you just said. It says here, Gnosticism is the belief that human beings contain a piece of God, the highest good or divine spark within themselves, which has fallen from the immaterial world in the bodies of humans.
Yeah, but I mean, I could also, because I think there's the interpretations for all these different religions, they're so loose and metaphorical. I can basically identify with everything, right down to being an atheist.
Well, I was gonna say, I will say the water is fine if you'd like to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid at all of going to hell because I didn't believe the right thing. I think that's just it's a fear tactic that's used to keep people's the mind of the masses under control. Which, I mean, it's practical. I understand it, But for the people that want to break away from it because they have a more independent mind, I think that it's something that they should absolutely pursue. Whether that's atheism or whether that's some sort of metaphorical paganism or just regular paganism, or it doesn't matter. I guess as long as you understand the metaphor behind it and the meaning behind the religions, then you can basically take the bits of truth from every single one of them and leave those protective layers behind.
So you're the cat alerts. Oh, it's a double cat alert. There's two. I'm gonna have to do something about that. Before I do, you're talking about atheism as something to pursue. I don't see atheism that way myself. To me, it's just it's something that just happens to me. Now, I suppose a person could pursue it if they are feeling like they're under pressure to a point, even a pressure they apply to themselves, perhaps, or community apply, that they must believe and follow a religion, and they must believe in the deity for that religion or whatever, which is not uncommon. But it's not like atheism's an alternative to that to switch over. It's more like that's what's left when you abandon this belief, when you no longer believe. Then that's it. You just don't believe. Some people can take it further. Some atheists do, and they say they've taken the opposite, an anti-theistic point, that there are no deities, and they absolutely believe there are none. They believe that there absolutely are none. That still entails not believing in any deities. So to kind of hint that atheism is some kind of ideology alternative to religion that people can pursue is to say that it's just as flawed as religions, and I reject that. I don't think that's the case, because there's no ideology or book of kind of a doctrine that atheists follow.
And all I would say to add on to that is I think Luxor is like at this close crossroads. So like there is
fork in the road.
Yes, and so I wish it's very metaphorical. Oh, Beamsy Shanta. Sending love to Beamsy might have had to go. But which we love Beamsy. Oh, and he comes back. Well, in fact, we'll bring Beamsy on. We love Beamsy because he is a pagan. The cat.
Sort of.
But we just care about being on team science, and he's a skeptic. That's what we really care. But I guess a skeptic funds everything. And to us, the problem I have, which I get worried about, which is the main thing, even though our main topic is religion, if the focus of tonight's podcast, I guess, is really conspiracy theory thinking, and it just has similar patterns. And it's like, it's this trying to attack a quote-unquote establishment that, as far as I can tell, are the people who are actually going out and doing science. And then the alternative people, the people that sit in there day in and day out, that like make a lot of they call it skepticism, but what it really is, once again, it's the C word, conspiracy theory. It seems like they are making a lot of money pushing a narrative. Not you. I mean, there are some big guys. I'm trying to think, like Witsit Gets It and all these things. Like
Alex
people,
Jones.
I was gonna say almost like Alex Stein, Align people. These people make money shilling conspiracy theories, whether they really believe them or not. And they have some of these just similar same themes, as in like, I hate to do a Ghostbusters, like, who are you going to trust? And they will offer things. Is that you? I hear a puppy moaning. They will offer, I can't hear.
That's George Soros.
Cooper.
George makes
George
puppy
Soros.
dog noises.
And so
he really is
in some ways,
a cuddly puppy.
What these conspiracy theorists do is they offer access to what they say is the real knowledge. There is something being held back. There is a mainstream, and there is like this just holding back of information from the true world. You need to take the red pill. It pisses me off that they have what's it called? What's the reappropriated the term red pill, because it used to be so cool with the Matrix, but and so they make it into this whole thing. They make it into this pseudo political. This are you really gonna
religious?
Yeah, and
religious,
and it becomes this whole package thing that, in my opinion, ends up becoming the enemy of skepticism. It becomes a non-evidence-based system, because if you are a skeptic, you proportion your beliefs to the evidence. And so if the evidence all the empirical evidence lays on one direction, the band, you should be skeptical of the people who are saying naysay. But I also want, and I feel like, because some of the things you say, I know that Luxor, you're like, I'm going to give it back over to you right before we get Beamsy in. Luxor.
Okay. I can just finish up my last couple ideas here, and then you can kick me out and bring Beamsy in.
Oh, no. I will say, and I know, like I said, that it can get super spicy, especially if you disagree with the mainstream opinion. But that's the point, is that these views can test scrutiny of empirical evidence. So we love you. We want you to stick around for as long. I mean, if you got somewhere to go and you're like, this ho-ho isn't letting me cook dinner, well, then also. But yes, back to you, and then Beamsy, and then we're heading out to outros in a little.
Okay. I know you could fit 4 at a time in here, so I want to definitely
we
make
can fit up to
for
10
Beamsy
in this program.
We were talking about people in the stream. Got you. Right. Uh-huh.
So basically,
the comedy show, that's the 4. The limit to 4. This one we can keep.
Yes,
going.
this is actually I keep on trying to close, but I don't know why I'm resisting. It's actually an open mic show. We can go up to 10. Yeah, like James is saying.
Okay, well, I do have I have plenty of research, I guess, that I could cite, but I would have to have it in front of me. I'll tell you I'll tell you 2 YouTube videos right now that you can look up, and if they're completely wrong, or how, if you can look at them and basically put all the doubts to rest that surround those videos, then that's even better.
Maybe they'll get a skeptic in ranting.
But yeah, one of them is called ISS Crew Discusses Life in Space with Former President Bush. And in the first couple seconds of that video, if you pause it, you can see the guy that's doing what really looks to be like a green screen video in the background, but it's not technically a green screen. It's some sort of other, like, I don't know, it's a chalkboard. I forgot exactly what it is behind him. But then I've seen the actual video of that guy.
Hold on. I can't help myself.
Okay.
Oh, it's 7 minutes long. But hold on, help us.
Well, you only need the first 2 seconds, or maybe 5 seconds.
First 2 seconds, and actually, hold on. It's like a USB. I always have to.
And I also don't mean to be the guy that makes you help me do my own research, but I'm just putting it out there as one of the interesting examples. Can I be honest with you?
Uh-huh. You could not have been a better. I mean, we want people who come on and disagree with us. If it wasn't you, it's just going to be like Beamsy. I mean, he's a geologist. He 100% is going to be like, no, I believe what the astrophysicists are saying. But we want Beamsy to come in here and be sane before he goes. But not that you're. You know what I mean. We're going to play this.
Hello.
Been here once before.
You see, it was right there.
Next to me.
So if you back up a little, you'll
killing me. It was that.
You'll see.
I hope.
It's in the first 5 seconds, and it's a guy with the little floating ball back there. Now, this is something where I haven't looked up like what the name of that particular video is. I haven't found what it was, but I have seen the video.
Because we're on second one. So this is what we're looking at.
Yeah.
You think that ball's actually floating?
No, that ball, I've seen a zoomed in version of that video, and it's on like a little string or something. But what it
Yeah.
is the alternate video that I've seen is that same video of the guy pointing at an apple floating in space, and he's like in the space
It couldn't have
shuttle or
been,
something.
and I'm not. I
space
don't see a
station.
string, but it also couldn't have been like, I don't know, a ball on a string that he was going like this in space. That also, I don't know if I
Been
see.
here once before.
But that was it. This is it, because
But-
the comment section was like NASA garbage. I think so. This is definitely
Wow. That's actually really sad.
So refreshing to see people waking up to NASA garbage. It has I can't help it. I have an app that puts in the downvotes.
Amy, just
Yes.
in the private
Oh,
chat,
that's about
Beamsy's
to get
pointing.
the thing.
Yeah, Beamsy's pointing out that it's it's called a research grid, and it's used in trajectory measurements.
All right. Well, we're gonna get him in here. He
That's
probably.
what it seems like. Like they're trying to plot like points to measure speed.
How you doing, Beamsy? What did we just watch?
Yeah, it's referred to as a research grid or a trajectory grid. It's so they can allow to see where objects are actually traveling.
That's why we bring in the geologist. But I also feel bad, Luxor. Once again, Luxor, just like when we go into to DS dens, I know it's like the lion's den.
No, the thing is, if I'm wrong about it, I'd like to know, but I don't want to just beat my chest and say, no, I saw this somewhere. This is the truth. It's because I think it's silly to do that. But I've also seen the other version of that video in the background. Now, the thing is, the part in this particular case where my understanding of it is limited is I don't know if the second video that I saw was maybe doctored by some professional video editor, and it was made to look like that, where he was supposed to be in the actual like the space station with and that screen behind him wasn't there at all. It was made to look like it was something totally different. It was not a tennis ball. It was like an apple. So it's difficult to say, but like I said, that's where my research on this particular video is limited. And I mean, there's plenty of other interesting things. If you search both sides of the argument, you'll find now science is real, and I'm sure we could actually go up to space and do all those things. But my idea is that the things that were being shown are not the things that are actually happening, and that's since I don't work in the secret government, I couldn't say why.
But can I freeze that statement? Doesn't
freeze
that
it.
sound like what you're saying is it is a conspiracy? Like you're lowbrow saying it like they're watching you. Like, I don't want to say that they're hiding things from us, but
no,
CIA? I don't know what you're talking about.
They're not turning the frogs gay, but they're turning the frogs gay.
Wait, no, but here's the thing. It's a misnomer because I 100% believe in grand conspiracies. But when it comes to conspiracy theories, I try to be careful because I don't like to just jump on board like Alex Jones. He's crazy, and he says, but a counterintelligence
Millions of dollars poorer.
Yeah, but a counterintelligence method is to it's one of the I guess tactics is to give people 90% truth so they swallow 10% lies. And it seems a lot of the stuff he might have a little bit less than 90% truth, but his stuff, it is pretty crazy. He throws crazy things out there. And for a while, when I first started researching, I was listening to a lot of his stuff, trying to figure things out. And as I researched my own stuff, I started finding out, okay, a lot of stuff he's saying is just, it's crazy. But then there's some things that are packaged in truth to make you feel like the point where your own research arrives to, and you don't research past that point, you just assume that Alex Jones is telling you the truth because he told you the truth about that other 80 or 90%. So I'll also say, as far as conspiracies are concerned, I don't think they're necessarily evil or a bad thing. I don't think they're necessarily a good thing. But Let me read you a quote real quick. It says, the quote goes, we'll know our disinformation program is complete when everything the American public believes is false. And that was from I think the first CIA director, the director of the CIA, William Casey. So
But
you could see
but
that.
once again, I have to freeze you on that. Do you think that is their mission? Like, do you think that is the CIA? I hate this because it makes me sound like a bootlicker. I've sounded like such a bootlicker the past few days when I've had a private celebration for a random politician got the FBI met his home, and then I threw a celebration for some reason. But what were we talking about?
Are you talking about when Trump got the documents taken out of his house?
Who? Wow.
So the thing is, if there's videos, I mean, there's plenty of videos like this where you can see that there's some sort of intentional misinformation program going on. So it's difficult for me to look at everything that these quote unquote scientists put out, even if they're real scientists. A lot of the scientists come out and say, "Hey, there was a lot more to this, but it's been filtered."
But help me get it here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what is the massive plan? Like, the FBI is trying to lie to us about aliens, is trying to lie to us about the moon landing, is trying to, like, it's the same. I always ask the motivation to flat earthers, and there doesn't, like, what does the government get out of concealing and you were actually talking about it, so I'll ask you, what would the government get out of concealing the shape of the earth or the fact that we went to the moon? Like, what's the play here?
Well, first of all, I don't want to say too much about it because for two reasons. One reason is that
no, Soros agrees with you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Just had to check because the lasers could have been at your back at any second. No, you can continue.
So one reason is that I have gotten my ass spanked a little bit on this channel before, but that was when Simos was around. When I started talking about Simos and Leo, and there was another lady that was a pretty smart lady that was on here before.
Is it Stupid Horror Energy?
No, it was a long time. It was maybe a year ago. I don't know what it was, and they were having none of it. Just even when I started talking about it, because the thing is, their secret weapon is plausible deniability. Because I think, I don't know what, just like I think the statistic I heard was from something like 2017 or something. The government had classified something like, I don't know, 13 million documents, or I don't know, up in the tens of millions of documents easily just in 1 year. So it's like there's so many things that we just don't know. We have no idea what's happening.
I remember what I was talking about. All right, yes, classified and not telling us. I don't want to be. I hate being a bootlicker unless it's like what you're into as a kink. And yet, I do think, because the government is made out of us, because the FBI and CIA are just made out of us, that these agencies are generally trying to do their job. They compared to a lot of the other countries that well, how about I say this before I become too much of a bootlicker? A lot of the other authoritarian countries that I have seen, because our NSA and all this have had spying problems on their citizens that we have had actual history for. Those things leak, and you have people that have whistleblowers. There's never been a whistleblower on the moon or the age or the size or shape of the earth. I still keep on going back to it because I want to win you over, Luxor. Okay. Like, we are we view ourselves. We used to hang that label all the time. It's kind of fallen out of tradition, but we like to think of ourselves as the free thinkers. The thinkers, because as much as we like evidence, I am a lovable tranny that is that way because she has deep feelings about how she views her life, and yet I am a naturalist. I view the world through a lens of the natural phenomena in the physical world, and I only want to believe in as many true things as possible and as few false things. And I use that as like a scalpel. And so there are a lot of people trying to scam us out there. There are a lot of people that try to screw us over.
Mind if I jump in?
I'll hand it over to you, actually, Beamsy, because I feel bad. We brought you in without giving you an intro. There are a lot of people out there trying to screw us over. I can tell you the vast majority of just lay scientists are not those people. That like this, the average geology teacher, astrophysicist, regular physicists, they all believe this way because of the empirical process. It's not a democracy, so to speak, but it is a data-driven process, and there is just no reason to be skeptical, quote unquote, of things like shape of the earth, whether we went to the moon, these types of concepts, because I'm telling you, once again, there are hucksters out there, and the hucksters are the people that are trying to sell these conspiracies. And I know, Luxor, you're going to want to respond, but I got to give Beamsy. So write it down. We'll give you a double.
I'll write it
but
down.
Beamsy, what is up? We are Midnight Ranting, in fact, on Did We Land on the Moon? And welcome. What are your thoughts?
Actually, I was just going to jump in on the conversation in regards to what Luxor said in the restricted files. Do you know what the other word for restriction is, Luxor?
Classified? Is that what you're getting at?
No, what is the more commonly term?
Restricted, prohibited, not allowed. I don't know. Oh.
The confidential files fall within that, and the majority of those are actually people who are 17 with a criminal record turning 18. A lot of their files get sealed. That's where a lot of your confidential, restricted, or top secret files come from.
Mm-hmm.
There is also any criminal investigation that involves a minor, any criminal investigation that involves sexual assault, any criminal investigation that involves anyone within the military, any criminal investigation that involves anyone in politics. All of these are sealed documents that you actually need a classification to actually see these. Any after action reports that anyone was injured in, they become confidential. Medical records are confidential. So when you come down to it, every government in the world is making millions of confidential files every month.
Okay.
So the aspect of saying that, oh, look at all these secret files that are being made, if you want to go through them, you'll get bored to death with it simply because it's just so arbitrary. That's why you have to actually apply Occam's razor to most of these situations. In most cases, the simplest explanation is usually the right one.
Well, I agree with the Occam's razor principle, unless you absolutely have a group of the most powerful people in the world that understand that, and they use their secret weapon as plausible deniability, because anything that comes up against them as evidence, they just classify it and they say it's not allowed in court, or it's whatever the case is. I mean, there's many different ways that they keep it classified, or I guess they keep it out of the public eye, and they keep themselves from getting prosecuted, which, like I said before, I mean, I don't know how many millions of of classified documents are like about minors and just those simple kind of benign, or those things that aren't so scary, I guess. But then if I don't really know, and this is another place where my knowledge is lacking, like how many of those are actual like secret government files, like the NSA stuff, where they're spying on everyone because they didn't want everyone to know. And then when people found out, they're like, oh, geez, this is a big public relations crisis. And then they got to do all this PR. And I mean, it turns out they still spy on people anyways. They just have to figure out a way to justify it. And so, I mean, I understand why they don't want people to find out what they're doing. And a lot of the times, I mean, if you look at something like, what if aliens are real? And then you look at the broadcast, the War of the Worlds, the first one that was done back in the 40s or whatever it was. And people were running outside, like shooting their water towers and just going crazy because they thought there were big aliens in the sky. And there's panic in the streets, and there's all kinds of crazy effects just from that broadcast. It's very possible that broadcast was a test on the public to see how they would respond to something like an alien invasion or a mass panic situation, and they responded very poorly. So maybe the government's
you just for 1 second. So
Sure.
It could be that.
Mhm.
It could be that. But it could be that it was someone that just really enjoys, is just a fan, is just a fanfic of and was actually reading War of the Worlds out into the public, really got into it. A non-skeptical audience that wasn't used to such a broadcast and was interpreting it just like a news broadcast, panic easily spreads through humans, and then they just do dumb things.
Amy, the exact thing behind it is it was done 3 times. 1898 was the first time it was broadcast. 1905, and then it was in America in 1930 something. The problem with them is they start out saying this is a entertainment broadcast, that they tell them that this is designed to be coming across like a real news broadcast, and we're just doing this for entertainment process. So if you come halfway through, it sounds like a real broadcast, but they announced to everyone from the get-go, this is just for entertainment pro.
Sure. Well, I think it was from BBC One, wasn't it? Or whatever it was from they were actually doing they announced that it was a story and that they were reading just like a clip, as if someone was selling their audio podcast almost. It was like, hey, if you like this, we're going to be reading it. But I do want to send love out there that you actually met our head mod Titan, who I think just isn't a fan of disinformation. We consider ourselves politically incorrect. It's the 7-Eleven was a part-time job guy, which sending love out there. Once again, this is basically a conspiracy theory stream. And so it's kind of on topic, except it's the different conspiracy, though he has a cross on his thing. So he ends up being on topic because it always
Amy,
goes back to religion.
Did you say 7-Eleven or 9/11?
Randolph, I don't know what you were hearing. I very specifically said that 7-Eleven used to be a part-time job. Didn't you know that?
Okay, I heard you correctly. Okay.
And I'm going to make a correction. The 1898 was not a broadcast. It was actually in a newspaper.
Huh. But the whole book they put in a newspaper, or what? Like, what do you mean it was in the newspaper?
It was an interpretation put into the Boston Times. Sorry,
Okay.
Boston Post.
Well, see, but that's another case of plausible deniability. They say, oh, well, during this several-hour broadcast, we said that it was just for entertainment at the very beginning. We didn't mean for this to happen.
See, but you said that, and no, finish.
Oh, well, and so I'm just saying it. This is another place where I haven't researched enough to know who initiated the broadcast, who paid for it, who any of that stuff. To say, yeah, the government was doing this as an experiment. But I mean, this was back near the time of when, like, maybe a little before Roswell and things like that. But whenever the Foo Fighters they're starting to see Foo Fighters and things like that. So
I do love Foo Fighters.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, they're not bad. But it's again, it's just I leave space in my mind for it to be a possibility, but I don't like to go around telling people like this is what they did, this is how they're getting us and screwing us, which is what most of the conspiracy theorists do, rather than conspiracy researchers.
One more, and I know I keep on. I think I've said we're going for outros for like an hour now, but since hit hour 3, that I really am preparing us. But yes, which is great. We've been having a good. But I have to press because this feels like a fundamental belief. This plausible deniability. I'm reading here. Plausible deniability is the ability of people, typically senior officials, in a formal or informal chain of command to deny knowledge or responsibility for any damageable actions committed by members of their organizational hierarchy, which makes it sound like they're what does that mean to you? Why it seems to be that this is a fundamental thing, this plausible deniability.
Well, I mean, that's basically the secret weapon, like the shield between them and the public, because they conduct operations so efficiently, and there's laws in effect that say that they don't have to tell anyone about it. They don't have to show any proof of their expenditures on any of these projects. So, and there's been a lot of cases during some like what are the congressional hearings or whatever, where the Congress quote unquote demands someone to release these documents, and then they give the documents over to Congress for the operations. They say, oh yeah, we'll give you everything in the way of these documents that don't compromise any of our operatives, and they don't compromise any American safety, so they're not any. And they come across as what's that?
They can go and do a closed door session with the pub where any type of like classified information is going to be talked about. They call it executive session, where they go and do a special room where there's no audio or video recording allowed.
Well, the documents that come out of these things are almost completely blacked out, or at least half the pages. You'll get things like the word of, the, seems to, just like simple little words like that. But everything, all the nouns for the most part are blacked out. The verbs are blacked out. So you have no idea what any information on these things, except for maybe the title of the operation. So just things like that, it starts pointing in the direction. Plus, like the quote that that the director of the CIA said, if you know that there's an intentional misinformation campaign against you by the people that are, we could say, in positions of power and influence, then it makes it a lot more difficult to just accept whatever they tell you, because oftentimes they'll put out things that sound very plausible, but then when you start researching into it, there's a lot of inconsistencies, and it doesn't work out exactly how they said it went down. So, and like I said, I mean, maybe it's for the very reason that people panic. And if you think of your average construction worker or your average person, even doctors, lawyers, it doesn't really matter. As long as they do their job well, they don't really have much need to know any of these things that the government's doing. Sure. They do what they're told to do. The country keeps operating pretty smoothly. I guess communism and the New World Order slowly take over, and everyone's yeah.
Oh wait, whoa! Hold on. Say that last sentence again.
I said communism and the New World Order slowly take over the country, and everyone's happy.
But don't you think that's conspiracy theory thinking?
No. Oh well, if you see a train going down the tracks in one direction and it has an amazing amount of momentum, and I say, hey, the train's going to be over there in a couple minutes, and someone says, you can't prove that. and of course, this is just metaphorically speaking. With science, you could prove that a train's moving in a certain direction, but
sure.
If you look at a lot of the Communist Manifesto and Agenda 21, you look at all kinds of documentation, even back in as far as the early 1900s, late 1800s, they talk about all a lot of the things that are happening now, as far as the way the government's moving, and like Klaus Schwab, I think he's the from the World Economic Forum, I think is where he's from. He talks about these same things. I mean, the basic, the fundamental principles of the Communist Manifesto, and like one of them is, he says, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. Anything you want, you'll rent it or you'll borrow it from the community in some capacity. And when he says community, of course, he means government. So, but
we don't have
I mean-
communism. Capitalism got us there on its own.
I was gonna say that does not seem to be the way it's going.
I mean, it's like the same kind of thing. Like people do this. Like preachers try to do this. They try to take like the things in the Book of Revelation and try to make it seem like these events are happening today. And that's because language is so malleable, and you can take a very vague statement, you can apply it to something, and it kind of fits, but it can kind of fit with almost anything. That's why Christians have always thought they were in the last days, because no matter what was going on or whatever time period they found themselves in, they were always able to make it fit so that they were the last generation, they were the important one. And one thing I wanted to say about like the redacted documents and all that is like, conspiracy theorists should be very happy for those redacted documents, because you know what? When something's redacted, then it's not reality. So you can speculate and you can pretend and you can imagine it says whatever you want it to say, because we don't know what it says. You can speculate about what the government has that they're not showing us, because we know they keep secrets from us. It's just that whenever something ever is finally released, it's always never lives up to what the conspiracy theorists are saying it just never really pans out to be that level. I mean, we know they keep secrets, but it's just not to the level that they preach. Anyway, yeah.
I see, and yeah, we have viewers of all different political persuasions. I do want to point out we beat the USSR to the moon. I see we have James Wolfe.
We had
James.
Hundreds of years economic head start on the USSR.
The other aspects
they were still getting out of feudalism in the 1920s.
The thing when it comes to conspiracy theories, you find out that usually they stem from one of two things. There are people who are deluded and they don't want to actually know any better, and they've already made their choice. Or the people who do know better but just want to lie about it and use that as their jumping off points. That is what is all of the conspiracy theories have ever stemmed down to. There's never been a conspiracy theory that hasn't stemmed down to one of those 2 points or both.
And I just want to say, and then I'm going to add James in for, he's going to be, I'm trying to think if we're going to do an intro, outro, but he will be the last person to join us. But they use examples that we're moving towards, I think their buzzword is cultural Marxism. They use it for things like the fact that we have gay marriage, that we have transgender rights, that all of the things that kind of boil and bother the religious fundamentalists. But this really isn't moving towards a new world order. It's not. And my joke is always you have to have a new world order, because like an old world order just doesn't sound sexy. Oh, we're the old world order. Yeah, it's just, I would need an amazing amount of evidence that the FBI the CIA, NASA are withholding. Well, first of all, either supernatural or paranormal, and if not, then I don't know what that 10% is. Like, what is that 10% that is so cool that they need to tell us the 90%, but they can't tell us like the spacecraft that gets zooming around that they claim. That was the latest thing. But yeah, I think I'm gonna get James Wolfe. I feel bad once again because I feel like we have to give Luxor time if ever we rebut something. Not rebut, because he wants to. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I almost get politically correct myself sometimes.
I mean, I can just wrap up my last few thoughts here, or
Sure,
unless you want
well,
to bring James in
You
right
know
now.
what? Oh, I think we're going to do an intro outro because we'll do this forever. And I actually learned that I have a mark. If we go past 3:20, we will go into hour 4. And so we are actually going to bring James Wolfe. He's going to start us off. And Luxor, thank you so very much. Like I said,
Thanks,
I
Luxor.
know that it can get super spicy, and that and that you're not even one way and the other. So sometimes you almost get pushed into a devil's advocate position that you're, yeah, you know what I mean. And
He's
so
really very moderate. He's in the middle.
I try to stand in the middle so I can see both
There you
sides
go.
and see
Oh,
what's going
baby.
on both sides.
That sounds like my sexuality. With that being said, we are going to start James Wolfe off with our outros because we have been midnight ranting on Did We Land on the Moon? Woo-hoo! What
Hey,
is
James.
up, James Wolfe? Lovely to have you with us. And we are Midnight Ranting. We hope you are, I was going to say have a good time. We just hope you are doing amazing. And we want to know what you got going on and did we land on the moon?
Oh, did we land on the moon? Oh, far out. We've forgot that was the initial starting point. I've gone in my thoughts have gone all over the point, all over the shop since then. No, thanks for having me.
Feel free to touch on anything.
Sorry for jumping on so late. And I don't mean to jump in the middle of the conversation. I was just listening at work and really enjoying the conversation. So I thought I'd just I just thought I'd jump in, I guess at the death. Did we land on the moon? Well, look, yes, I would say it's extremely likely. I've got no reason to think otherwise. All the evidence is in support of it. But then again, I'm not, I can't go through the evidence in a really rigorous way like a scientist would be able to. But just in terms of conspiracy theories in general, there's a Star Trek: The Next Generation episode where somebody says to Picard, "Oh, what do you think about conspiracies?" And he says, "That's the charming thing about them, then, isn't it? When a machination is real, no one knows about it. When it's suspected, it's almost never real." So, and Picard said, "Yeah, well, what do you know about conspiracy theories?" Picard says, "Oh, not nearly enough, I suppose." So, so that's one line of thought that I have. That, well, is it? If a conspiracy theory actually occurs, and it's credible and it actually happens, are we ever going to know about it? I don't know. But when I think about that, I think about, Iraq and WMDs. That I guess it's debatable whether you could see that as a conspiracy theory. But I tend to think it's extremely likely if a conspiracy of such scale was ever attempted, then it would almost certainly very swiftly be uncovered and exposed, like WMDs in Iraq. I mean, but ultimately, I think that as much as anything, conspiracy theories are a mechanism for people maintaining an internally consistent narrative. I think that, and just when you guys would just mention communism a moment ago, kind of thought of, well, how communist lines of thought gets obviously very conspiratorial because they're operating from a base of historical reductionism. And what I mean by that is they're viewing everything through a particular paradigm. So everything gets reduced to class conflict,
Right.
and nothing can deviate from that. And when there's internal inconsistency surrounding that, then they utilize conspiracy theory to assimilate it and to make it internally consistent, rather than looking at it dispassionately. Now, same thing with fascism. Everything's race-based, race conflict. The whole history is just
Everything boils down to that. Yeah.
What's that? Sorry.
I say everything boils down to that one thing.
Exactly
either
right.
race
Yeah. So you
or
just
class struggle.
Yeah, and everything assimilates. Even if it's got nothing to do with it, you'll trace it back to that somehow. And so I feel as much as anything, conspiracy theories are just a mechanism for maintaining a narrative. And even people who I otherwise really admire, someone like Noam Chomsky, for example, I think he does it to some extent with manufacturing consent. A concept I really don't buy. Trying to suggest that we're all not really consenting, that we're in some kind of pseudo slavery state. That capitalism is like a pseudo slave kind of existence, which is a really poor misuse of the term slavery, and it really loses its meaning when you do things like that. So I'm probably drifting off a bit the topic, but yeah, I guess that's it really. I mean, conspiracy theories, the mechanisms it's used, yes, it probably could be true sometimes, certainly. But I'm sure you've mentioned it during this stream, but you can't keep a secret between three people or something like that. Keeping secrets from a large.
I attempted to do the exact same thing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So the mechanism used, it craps all over the historical method. It craps all over the scientific method, and it's extremely counterproductive in our. I find it. I've mentioned this before, but that line of thinking and the methods it use, the internal rationale. It's a poor. I shouldn't use the word rationale, but the internal mechanisms through conspiracy theories. It's dangerous on a bunch of different levels, and it leads to all sorts of wrong conclusions. I guess I'll leave it there. No, thanks for having me on. Sorry.
Sounds good. Thanks for coming on.
The only way to keep a secret between two people is for one of them to be dead. There we go. It took me an hour. Thank you. Thank you so very much, James and Wolfe. It was lovely having you on.
Thanks, guys.
And once again, I'm just going to keep on shouting it out just because James actually does something that creationists are highly allergic to, which is research.
Showering.
So thank you again. Thank you so very much, James. Lovely having you on as always. And all right, we're going right down the list. Beamsy, we are Midnight Ranting on Did We Land on the Moon? What you got going on, and what are your final thoughts?
Oh, my final thoughts are always on tacos, but that's just always the same one. But yes, the evidence that we landed on the moon can be shown by the reflectors that are on the surface of the moon. If they're there, how else would they have gotten there in the state that they are?
Pixies.
If you believe in magic.
Yes, let's believe that the entire face of the moon was bukkakied by the Noetic floods.
Hey. Yeah, that's a good idea. One of the ladies' mirrors from their beauty sets got launched up to the moon. There you go, from the flood.
Yes, but there's a couple more than just one. But anyway.
Well, I mean, there were more than one women. We assume multiple. They had mirrors and all got bukkakied up to the moon, right?
Well, that's usually Niflin's Freeze Noah flood bukkake theory that he uses.
His peer-reviewed theory. Almost scientific fact. Go ahead, Beansy.
They're predicting that Betelgeuse has actually already exploded, and we'll be seeing it within the next few days. So when it's going to be.
Think that's true?
According to the measurements, it should be anytime within the next year or two.
Really?
That's actually why I've got it
It's
on
like
the
a
screen.
birth, only a
That would
death.
be so amazing if that happens in our lifetime.
Well, you're looking at a live feed of it
Is
on
that a
the
live
screen
feed
at
of
the moment.
Beetlejuice?
Beetlegeist.
Also, that would be so funny because it's one of the creationist claims. Like, you never see a supernova. How do you know? You've never seen one. Just
Well,
like,
they don't
well,
need to be them. They just think there should be a lot more of them. Oh, shit.
Yeah, but I've had that thing up for the last few days, and so I'm interested to see if it does actually go pop. But the distortions are quite
That would be
interesting.
amazing if that happens in our lifetime. Yeah, it just shed off part of its atmosphere a few days ago.
But that's why I've had it up there. But it's called Beetlegeist, not Beetlejuice.
Well, hey. We're in America. We pronounce it the American way. You guys will just...
America.
Except it's spelled with a G, not a J.
Oh, well.
It's Beetlegeist.
You guys will be using pounds and inches before you know it.
You mean freedom units?
Freedom units, yes, yeah. We'll get you
That's
guys.
right. I'd like some more freedom units, please. But
Amy
thank
only
you so
measures
very
hers
much, Beansy.
in freedom units. She will only give it to you in inches. She will not give a measurement in centimeters.
I will only give
I'm
it
going to
in
leave that
freedom
one by.
prize.
That one's just too tempting, but I'm going to leave that one by.
There
You'll find that all the American measurements are actually in metric, but they are then converted to imperial when they're used, and all the standard measurements are in metric as well. So even the US uses metric as their standardization system.
I think there's like only a few countries in the world that use imperial. Like US is one of them. Burma's another one.
Yep.
And I forgot what the other one is.
There's two that actually use it as their standardization because the US does not use it as their standard, but it is the one that's used in public.
Yeah. It's almost the whole world needs to be on the same page with it. And I noticed in the UK that they use a whole variety of different measurement systems for all sorts of things. Like the roads are in imperial speeds, but other things are in metric. It's kind of a mess.
That's because they continuously are converting. That's because they're continuously converting.
Oh,
it's a constant process.
So they're in the process of going to metric?
No, they've been metric for a long time. It's just that a lot of the signs they don't bother with, especially with the mile markers, and it's just an aspect of habit.
And all right, I'm actually... So thank you so very much, Beamsy. I see you, Clockwork Rex. I'll try and get you in right before the co-pilot, James and myself. After we go down the list, we'll give you an intro, outro, just like I did James Wolfe. So stick around. But thank you so very much, Beamsy, for coming on.
Thanks, Beamsy.
Anytime I can come, it's a good thing.
Oh my! Someone's been a good boy. And all right, absolutely. And all right, we are moving down. In fact, speaking of fantastic gentlemen, Randolph Richardson, we have been Midnight Ranting on Did We Land on the Moon? What you got going on, and what are your final thoughts?
Well, what we have going on actually is on August 27th, we're holding an event, and it's here in British Columbia, in Burnaby Central Park. So, thank you for putting that full screen. So this will be the first in-person event that we're able to host, and we had to put it off all during the pandemic for the last couple of years because the problem with the COVID-19 spreading, and so things seem to be mostly in a good place now for these types of events to occur. So this is the first one now. I wished we could have started this a couple of years ago. Our goal here is to develop community among the atheism demographic primarily. And so, a lot of churches have been doing this sort of thing for thousands of years, and other religious institutions as well. And although theirs are often indoors, we're going to be focusing on kind of more outdoors type of activities. And that's because I think it'll work quite well being out in nature. And then this event, we're just going to do it for about 3 hours or so. We're just going to probably I'll have a few things to talk about, but if people start talking, then we'll just let the conversations flow, and then the second part of this will be just a stroll through a park right there. And there's a nice lake in the park, and so we've gotten a whole bunch of things in place for this already. So if people want to find out more about this event, especially if you're in the Greater Vancouver area of British Columbia, Canada, our website, CanadianAtheists.ca, there's an events section where you'll find it, but this is also on the homepage, so it'll be very easy to find. And what we're planning to do is run these events on the last Saturday of every month in the future going ahead. So yeah, thank you, Amy, for hosting this topic. And I'll just make a comment about these conspiracy theorists. I think one thing I've noticed is that a lot of conspiracy theorists are actually really quite skilled at applying skepticism, critical thinking skills. Where I think things kind of go sideways with a lot of them is, or if not all of them, is they don't have the wisdom to temper where to stop. They take it too far. And so the ideas come up a lot. They seem completely whacked out. Now they're able to come up with a lot of reasoning to back up their ideas, and so that's why it can be quite murky to go after to debate with a conspiracy theorist who's had more practice at it. So, and I think that's an important thing to keep in mind is most of us will know, okay, this gets to the point where now things are getting more complicated. And the conspiracy theorists go down that rabbit hole all the time, and most people don't. Most people know, okay, this seems to be where we need to be at. And so like the flat earth thing is a crazy one in my view. It's just it completely doesn't make any sense at all. But then the fake moon landing one is another one that comes up, which is the topic of tonight. And I did have a meme that I was showing earlier that stated, and here it is, a person named Brendan Iyer. I think this is on Twitter. Yes, it is. He wrote, "If you one-up conspiracy theorists, they don't know what to do. For example, when they tell you that the moon landing was fake, you could respond, 'Oh, you're one of those people that believes in the moon.'" So, and then more overcomplication will follow, of course, because that's how it goes. So, yeah, thank you very much for hosting this again, James and Amy. I greatly appreciate all that you're doing here. It's important because you're building a sense of community here as well, and you're doing it online, and I think you have a very nice community here because you have a mixture of people. It's not just atheists.
We do.
It's a lot of different people, and
thank you, Randolph.
Yeah, it's important what you're doing here.
Thank you, Randolph.
Well, I'm just sending that love.
You're doing
back,
a great job on your end.
Exactly. Just
normalize atheism.
Well, thank you very much.
And running a fantastic stream that I get to vent on with a lot of other atheists.
And if anybody knows anyone in British Columbia, Canada, who's possibly interested in this event, remember, it's at CanadianAtheists.ca. There's an events section you'll find in there, and it's free. There's no charge to go there. Anybody can join us. It's we're going to run them this way, and because that's I think the best way to build a genuine community is not requiring people to pay to be part of it.
Hells yeah. So thank you so very much, Randolph Richardson with an OLF. You should be checking out his channel. I should be throwing them up there. Woo-hoo!
Google will
And
take
if
you to
I-
the right one. Just go
and
with
if I
whatever
ever-
Google says.
Exactly. And if I ever don't throw it up and you have one, anyone here on the panel, feel free to send it to me and then I'll start shilling for it. But we are going to bring on, I feel like he's the headliner of tonight's open mic. Thank you so very much, Randolph Richardson. We're going to bring on Luxor,
Thanks,
and then we're
Randolph.
going to sneak in Clockwork Rex because we like to get everybody to talk in the skeptic and ranting community, just like Randolph Richardson said. And all right. Luxor, what is up? We hope that you have been having a fantastic time on tonight's Midnight Ranting. Did we land on the moon? I hope you are feeling fantastic. What you got going on? And really, what are your final thoughts?
Well, I always feel good when I'm hanging out with my buddies, but I gotta say, like I think I've told you before on this show, Amy. I think the moon landing was faked, and Stanley Kubrick did it, but he was such a perfectionist that he went to the moon and filmed it. So,
can I tell you what that reminds me of?
What is that?
Christopher Hitchens was once asked, "Do you believe in free will?" And he said, "Of course, I have no choice."
Oh, there you go. I don't know what sort of logical fallacy that is, but it sounds like it's one.
Well, it just reminded me of your quote. Right back to you, Luxor.
So, the second point that I didn't finish earlier, that I'll circle back around to now, is when you said, "What does the government have to gain from doing all this?" Well,
Yahtzee.
and I said, well, I have two reasons for thinking that it's not a great idea to talk about it, and the second one was that it would just be way too long to establish a case and build a foundation of what's going on and all the research, and especially for I know there's a few people here that don't mind hearing research, but a lot of people, I'd say most people, have already made up their mind in one direction or the other. And the only people that would favor I would have to say are the people that have already made up their mind in favor of what I have to say. Plus, I mean, there's people that have, like the head of the FBI has come out and said some very interesting things about how the government's been infiltrated, and they're using it for certain political agendas, and he felt that there were people in the government trying to assassinate him and poison him.
Political agendas, yeah.
And there's I mean, other people that have done a much better job speaking about this stuff than I have, and then take quotes out of books from the different world leaders that have written books and all kinds of things, and put a bunch of pieces together, and done hundreds of hours of podcasts, radio shows, and they've reached some people, but no one that I've ever spoken to has ever heard about this one particular guy. That, I mean, he's done hundreds of hours of radio, and it's like he's done such a better job than I have, that even like touching on these subjects quickly, and then he was just assassinated by the government. So it's like it doesn't seem to do much. It doesn't seem to do much good if you're just going to dip your toe in the water talking
is this
about
the
it.
guy that Art Bell was talking about one time?
Art Bell has talked about him. Alex Jones has also talked about him. So,
yeah, I think I know who you mean. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, and which is interesting to me, because Art Bell, he talks about a lot of conspiracy theories, and then Alex Jones also talks about a lot of conspiracy theories, and both of those guys have spoken poorly of this of the person. His name's Bill Cooper. He was actually a naval intelligence analyst that compiled, him and his team compiled reports that went to the that went to the White House. I don't know if they went directly to the White House or they went to his sergeant first or whatever. But and then he found out things that were going on, and then he came out as a whistleblower, and he gained some traction. He did all right for a while, but then he got
He
killed.
wrote
So
some books.
yeah, and which I think was like the #1 bestseller, underground
It was
bestseller
called Behold
for
a Pale Horse.
yeah, that's his book. But he was never mentioned in any
I'm
like
pretty
New
familiar
York
with it.
Times bestsellers list or anything like that, because I think Clinton he called him the most dangerous radio host in America at the time. So but I mean, if people just like go listen to what he has to say and then make up your minds about what you think, and if you can prove a lot of counterpoints to his points, then that's great, and maybe there's no conspiracy at all. But it doesn't seem to do much good to try to talk to, I guess, an audience that's already made up their mind one way or the other, because it's just like you've spoken to so many people in the religious side, the creationists, that you can talk and talk and talk, and their answer will always be, well, God did it. Doesn't matter how much evidence you give them or whatever. So I think that's the danger of making up your mind before you know all the facts. And I think the people and I like all the people here, but there's I think that a lot of and like James Wolfe had a good point. He said that there's the conspiracy theorists are they're kind of dangerous for the world, and they do a disservice, and that's true. But I think that um, there's a distinction to be made between conspiracies and conspiracy theories, because the people that are conspiracy theorists, they go watch Alex Jones and they're like, oh yeah, that guy's telling us the truth. We're in the know. But they're people that are just regular working people, and they don't have hours a day to sit there and research everything he says. And there's always things that are happening. I mean, no matter what happens in government, there's hundreds of large ticket items that are happening every single day, and you can't keep up with them all. So I mean, that's why I personally find it more important to research the why of what's happening in the world rather than the how and the exact details. And saying that conspiracies, there's no real big conspiracies or anything like that in general. It's a judgment based on a lack of research. But also I think a lot of the conspiracy theories themselves are judgments based on a lack of research. They're just beliefs that are held because some popular guy on the internet told them to believe that. And I mean, I've heard of people people I know personally that believe that like gray aliens are running the government. Some people believe reptilians are running the government. Some people
Those are my
believe that
cousins.
demons are running the government. Some people believe Jews are running the government. Some people believe that Satanists are running the government. So it's
What about
it's
Jewish reptilian Satanists who are
that
gay?
which there you go. That's
some
I'm sure
people
there's
believe-
plenty of people that believe
Reptilian,
that.
demonic Satanists. Yeah.
And some people believe Democrats are running the government. And right now, they're correct.
Yeah. So there's
Jewish reptilian demon Satanists. Thank you, Randolph. Thank you for the redundancy.
So yeah, I think that there's something that's much much more precise going on than just all this wild speculation. And there's definitely like these planned counterintelligence programs that there's hundreds of government agents, or thousands of government agents, I should say, that just sit there, and their job all day is to produce things that sound plausible, put them out on the internet for different reasons. That some programs are to rope in certain kinds of people to initiate certain types of action in certain regions. Some of them are just as general disinformation campaigns, so people don't really know exactly what's happening. And when you don't really know what's happening, you can't really create a strong plan to try to implement your own will and your own agenda. So there's so many different aspects of this stuff, and like I said, there's so many. Unless you want to dive in head first and go into hours, maybe hundreds of hours worth of research into these subjects, it's easy to look at it and say, it's just a bunch of crazy conspiracy theory stuff. But whenever you start looking at people coming out, like the head of the FBI coming out as a whistleblower, the government intelligence analyst that prepared briefings for the White House, and I mean, there's a lot of CIA. There's actually one guy named, which he's not too crazy to listen to. He's a very practical guy named. He's ex-CIA. His name's Kevin Shipp, and he talks about why there's not a lot of whistleblowers in things like the CIA's, because he talks about all the documents you have to sign that say that you're going to be tried with treason, you're going to be put in prison, your bank accounts will be frozen. There's all kinds of crazy things that you have to sign up for whenever you sign these non-disclosure agreements in the government.
How do you spell his last name?
Shipp is SHIPP.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
So there's so much research to be done in this one area that there are some people, even though it sounds a little strange, that actually specialize in this type of stuff, and they look at it through skepticism, through the lens of skepticism, rather than just believing any sort of interesting sounding story or something that's plausible. But whenever you start building some sort of little, I don't know, maybe intelligence grid of your own, and trying to figure out what's going on and why certain things are happening, it becomes a lot more clear, rather than just because it's like saying, oh, there's no cure for cancer, because in the medical industry, a cure is basically defined as like a pill that you can give someone, a chemical you can give them, and kill them. So, but there are all kinds of things you can do that can help you.
I'm going to caution you about potential medical misinformation and conspiracy.
Well, I'm just trying to get out before hour 4.
Oh, okay. Well, this is my last little thing. So just like the terminology for the word cure in the medical industry, when they say there's no cure for cancer, they define it in a certain way. So even if there's all kinds of prevention and the things that'll statistically reduce your chances of cancer, there are also things like that in the conspiracy world, where because things are defined in a certain way, you can't specifically say, like the paperwork. Oh, well, we don't have paperwork to prove that this crazy thing happened or the government did this. Which, I mean, of course, they'll just black it out, or they'll destroy it. They won't release it. So it's easy to say, no, nothing's ever really surfaced that would really incriminate the government and doing all these crazy things. But it's like, well, if the government controls the paperwork that would incriminate themselves, the only thing that could do that is like whistleblowers, and it's easy to see why those guys are so rare. And again, I don't know, maybe the New World Order will be great, because it'll be this one world of kumbaya love and peace.
You have to admit, it has to be better than the old world order.
It'll definitely be different. So that'll be interesting, at least for maybe our grandkids or whatever. But anyways, that's basically all I really have to say about it. It's like there's no point in really diving into it, and I think you guys are maybe on the right side of the fence from your point of view, is that there's no point in diving into all these crazy programs and operations, because it's not going to do you any good. I mean, there's no practical value for it in your lives if you're not going to dive in head first and go and research all these different things, and it will eat up a huge amount of your time. So might as well, from my perspective, I just try to be, as good a person as I can and do good things for the world around me. But, learning about all this crazy stuff, it doesn't have much practical value in your life. And in fact, if it puts you in danger, if you get too far into it, especially if you start talking about it like Bill Cooper did on his podcast, then it's like, it's the opposite of practical.
Just be a sheeple. Be a sheeple. Just go.
Thank you. Take the blue pill, right? Thank you so very much,
There's nothing wrong with the blue pill for the people that the blue pill tastes good for. So.
But we will actually continue to do more of these topics, so keep on coming by, and I'll keep on being by. No, thank you so very much for.
And I could seriously sit here and just read off all the all kinds of research and all kinds of different researchers, and I mean it would just take it would take much longer than a single stream on a single show. So
That's okay. We're to be continued.
yeah.
But thank you so very much, Luxor. And I also want to just send out love to Ian Davenport. Woo-hoo!
Thank you, Ian.
Sends a
$5
$5
super
super sticker. Going and we're
Thanks for the
sending
support,
that
man.
love right back. Thank you so very much,
Appreciate
Ian. Mwah! And all right, not only that, but we're gonna get Clockwork in here, and then we are going to dip. Even though I've been saying that for I think an hour and a half. But thank you so very much. Sending so very much love to Ian Davenport again and again and again.
Thanks so much, Ian. We love you.
And all right, we're gonna get him in. The ship is about to leave, though. We have him. Clockwork Rex. We have been Midnight Ranting. What you got going on? And did we land on the moon?
Of course we landed on the moon. Of course we did. I mean, come on. We did it what? Somebody said it in the side chat like 6 times. I mean, of course we landed on the moon.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Also, once again, a good band. We're just picking up good music tonight. But thank you so very much, Clockwork Rex. And
hey, thanks for having me up. And Luxor said some crazy shit, but hey, people can believe whatever they want to believe.
Listen, once again, atheist or theist, liberal or conservative, come as you are, just not on my sheets.
Yeah, and if you do, clean it up, please.
Exactly.
Please.
At least use a towel afterwards. And all right, thank you so very much, Clockwork.
Don't use the
Yeah,
guest towels as toilet paper like you did last time.
What about toilet?
No, it's a quote.
We are handing it to the co-pilot to land. Oh, wait, hold on. What was that?
I'm sorry I came at the end, but that's the best way to do it.
Can I just tell you, Clockwork, it doesn't matter if you come early or you come at the end. As long as you come, I feel like you get somewhere.
Well, fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Thank you.
We'll just go in and start deleting the link at a certain point.
Well, I mean, I'm surprised that Soros hasn't shut the stream down, but we have to somehow.
Bombs.
Honestly, JIDF, Mossad, CIA, they're all watching the stream right now, so it's been great. But James, we have been asking, did we land on the moon? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Did we land on the moon? Like everybody said. So of course we did. This conspiracy theory rabbit holes that you can go down. So a lot of people like to go down them. Most of them, though, are bridges to nowhere. You're just going to keep going down and down the hole, but eventually there's not going to be anywhere to go. Yeah, exactly. There's just nowhere to go with it. It's just wheels spinning, but you're not actually getting anywhere. Nothing ever happens. Nothing they say ever ties in. But there are a lot of people making books, videos, websites, making money on it. They never produced anything really viable. Bill Cooper, he wrote some books. He did some radio shows. He was killed by the cops trying to serve a warrant in like 1998. He's become kind of a folk hero, I think, for the conspiracy theory side, probably because he died and he's become like a martyr. The Clinton administration obviously wanted him dead because he was just so dangerous. They tried to kill Alex Jones, but he just ninja. He's too nimble for their assassins.
Too much of an alpha male.
He's too much of an alpha.
Yeah.
You shoot out Alex Jones, he asks you for another one. I mean, anyway. But yeah, like I said, a lot of people really find it interesting, and you can really go deep down these holes. Just you'll get so deep in there. Look up every once in a while to make sure you can see the light and be able to pull yourself out and back to reality, because I think that's how a lot of people, when you go into them, then you just get in that mindset, and you kind of after a while forget about reality, and that rabbit hole kind of becomes your reality. And like I was saying before, that's what leads people to go to pizza places with guns, demanding to see Hillary Clinton in the basement drinking her adrenochrome, which seems pretty crazy. But once you're in that echo chamber and down in that rabbit hole for long enough, it makes perfect sense to you. And you trying to be saving the kids that are being locked up down there to be have their adrenochrome harvested. Pretty crazy. But there are a lot of people that believe it. And what are you gonna do? It's part of kind of the dual-edged sword of the internet. Gives lots of good information, lots of bad information, and what are you gonna do? Anyway, thanks guys for spending your time with us. You could have been anywhere, but you were here. We appreciate you. We love you, and we'll see you guys next time.
Woo-hoo! Thank you so very much, James. In fact, I hope you all had a good time on this episode of Midnight Ranting. Did we land on the moon? Where tonight we ask the question of whether humans have went to the moon for a good time worth mooning your neighbor. Though I do want to thank my co-host James W. along with our guests Luxor, Randolph, Beamsy, Wolfe, and Clockwork, as well as the people in chat, our awesome mods who make this stream so great, and lovely viewers like you who make this channel even possible. If you enjoy the show, please don't forget to like, follow, or subscribe, because then you gain access to that all button icon, which will send you reminders to see our premieres or join our live streams, or hey, leave a comment once the video's done. You can also leave a super thanks, and we'll read it back as thanks on the next episode. After the show, the
Amy will
Skeptic
read
and
it
Ranting.
in a schoolgirl outfit.
Oh my, yes I will. The Skeptic
If
and
it's
Ranting
enough.
Discord server will be open.
$50
The
enough.
link
She'll
of
do it in the
which
schoolgirl outfit.
is in the description
Yeah.
below, along with our fantastic channel members who you can join by hitting that big red button and getting our evolving badge system. Though the best way to help us make even more content
You
and
can
to
prove
unlock
evolution by becoming
some
a member.
unique perks, that's right, baby, is by checking out our Patreon and becoming a supporter at patreon.com/Amy Newman. I am Amy Newman, and we'll see you all next episode of Skeptic Ball Z. Good night, everyone.
Good night, guys.
Sending love.
Take care, everybody.
Mwah.
I like to tell dad jokes. Sometimes he laughs.